Howdy, folks, and welcome to Adventures in Alberon, our 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons campaign. I'm Joe Treff, your Dungeon Master, and joining me, as always, are Matt, Miles, Ali, and Tina. We have a couple of announcements to get through since we didn't have a regular session of our campaign last week. If you didn't tune in, we had an original one-shot called The Frost Line, with guest player Ari, who played Fizz, a fire genasi barbarian who bullied a pixie. Matt, you took on the role of Perry, an air genasi, who still exists within the world of Alberon, and has. I had to write a couple of years for Perry, but it worked out, and he's still there. He had his tiny little Arctic warbler Burb. Remind me of his name?
Doppio.
Doppio, right. Totally serious name. And then Tina, of course, playing a much younger and slightly less aggressive Shae. But it's up on YouTube if you want to check it out. It's just a short jaunt into the Feywild. We also have a very cool sketch from Sophie Bischoff that's now up on our Instagram and our Twitter. It is just a very simple sketch of Heinrich, but still like the detail on the armor is super cool. It's like a very, very cool thing that just every time that Sophie sends us something, she just like throws something extra in, and it's like a piece of art. And she's like, yeah, it's just like a little thing. She actually even, and also, if you don't know, Sophie Bischoff, follow her on Instagram. Dibadoop, which is DIB, BADOEP. I did it. On Instagram. Definitely check her work out. It's amazing. It's beautiful, hand-drawn, watercolors. We've had a number of things that she sent us and just amazing. But she also, even on the tape that holds like the envelope together, she like draws faces and stuff. It's like amazing. So definitely check her out. And then also something that I finally got up to date literally at about 7 o'clock today. If you go to our website, alberonrpg.com, the very far right tab, the adventure or the story so far, is now finally up to date. Literally up to date to last session. So it now contains the completion of the Kind Scale arc, which was the Finger Gang slaying a dragon, and then the beginning of our current arc. So definitely check that out.
This is the filler arc.
This is the filler arc. This is the in-between. But I call it the active arc because it's what's going on right now until there's a more concrete direction. Yeah. And then finally, Sirenscape is the wonderful digital toolset that we use to play music, sound effects, various little accoutrements to the world that we've created. If you like to really create an immersive experience for your players, or you really like the sound of goblins shrilly crying, you can find both on Sirenscape. So check that out. And with that, I believe that is the last announcement that I have, so we can get right into our recap. Just 1 second. Let me change the music for us here. I always love playing this song.
I always love you playing that song too.
Finger Gang. Last we played, you had all spoken to Nazara, a member of Uriel's Watch, who had explained that she, along with other members of the Watch, were headed south to rendezvous with the rest of those who had come to help in the wake of things that had occurred. You learned, as a group for the first time, having heard bits and pieces from various sources throughout your adventures, that a darker power had risen in the south. The creatures within the gated marsh that held in on the east coast by 1,000 Gates, the place that you all know Ro to be at, Rhodesia, from way early in the adventures, I think pre-stream. But you know that she is stationed at 1,000 Gates. You know, on the west, especially you, Guntir, that Mudtown and the artificial mire that has been created and sustained through the alchemical association in the area, you would know that that is generally an unpassable terrain, not just for the civilized species, humans, dwarves, people with the aid of magic have difficulty crossing, but for the monsters and various constructs that find their way out. It has been a very reliable boundary until now. Shae, you followed her after she said in Rough Zin Yi to do so and dropped straight out the window. You had a tense moonlight conversation on a rooftop across the way with the sound of a window slamming shut and opening in the background. You learned of the Fall, a catastrophic event that had occurred in the Northlands that you actually learned were called by the people who had lived there the Ald, A-U-L-D. You learned that Jaruxa had been known to make deals with devils and worse for power, and that he was more than just a hired assassin in his previous life. Nazara asked that you all, Shae. Nazara asked if you had heard of Azra, indicating that the goddess of Rot, who had directly influenced Heinrich's life and thus all of yours in many ways, and explained that she was worried that Heinrich's former patron may be seeking a new champion, and that Jaruxa might be an ideal candidate. Shae, you returned to the Great Chamber in the Ambassador's Suite, your lodgings in the ornate and welcoming Allkin, the Dwarvish Inn, whose name means, roughly translated, foreign kings, and entered through a window in the midst of Guntir and Heinrich arguing over whether to open or close it while waiting for you. You all got tipsy in the wee hours of the morning. Not all. Morwen got tipsy in the wee hours of the morning, with the rest of you in attendance. You weighed in on the new information and determined that you would collect Helia's body and return to the Undercity. Heinrich, you also intent on returning the rune keys you have to the Gentle Repose. You stopped at the Rune Carver's Temple, and you picked up Helia's body, now ensconced in fine onyx, wrapped in sapphires, this beautiful urn. You traveled downward and into the Ring of Silver and wound up outside the rooms of the Gibbon Society Hall. Now being rebuilt by the drow enchanter that you all know to be Edelweiss, who is making preparations to set up a shop. There you reactivated the ore-charged golem and traded it to Edelweiss in return for her altering, Guntir, your newly acquired plate mail. Again, lowering your AC to something like 12. But she promised to utilize the scales you gathered from Kind Scale. When asked for a demonstration for the golem, Guntir, you had a dance. And after you transferred ownership to this creature to Edelweiss, the golem shut down into its inert state, and that is where we begin this week. You are now in this street. On your right, you would see the beginnings of the Dawnfather Ziggurat that you guys had begun your venture up to the Ring of Golden. You can see here many of the fires put out within the Ring of Silver. However, still, despite the fact that 24 hours have passed and probably throughout the night these fires were fought, many still burn. You can see above dozens of them. The smoke a little bit less thick, but they cast these sort of sinister outlines in the smoke. You see off to your left the line of ruined buildings that you had all hidden in once upon a time. Now figures move like ghosts through the rubble as this place begins to rebuild itself. There's still a number of cheering dwarves around you as this golem had just stopped dancing, which was quite popular. But Finger Gang, what would you like to do?
So we've got Helia. I say we just deliver her.
Yeah.
Well, right. I mean,
Skatoot.
can we make for Squall's End finally? And
After we drop off Helia.
of course, and I have to get the room keys back and everything, and we return the way that we know, so we know how to traverse it.
I feel like I'm forgetting something.
Nope, let's go. And I just turn and start walking towards like where I know that like opening in the wall was, I guess.
Okay, so you guys are going to take the rat tunnels down?
Well, have
don't
we
we just
actually
take
ever
the
seen anything
stairs?
to get the assumption that all like we have not yet seen any hostile creatures still threatening people thus far, right?
As far as you know, you have not seen any directly. You've heard that there are some. You've heard that especially the Ring of Copper is still pretty hotly contested.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, it seems like, especially on the Ring of Silver, and even more so on the Ring of Gold, which is already a fairly peaceful place to begin with, it seems a lot calmer. You don't see signs of the kobolds who had infested this place only 18 hours previously.
Okay. So, back to that point, I think it would be safest if we just go down the way that we knew. Right?
You mean
Through
like-
the walls and then out behind that rattly loud cabinet with the discs, and then, down the hole.
Are there other? Because isn't the Dawnfather ziggurat now clear and?
It is. The
Easily-
Dawnfather's ziggurat begins in the Ring of Silver and ascends 200 feet up into the Ring of Gold atop it. It doesn't continue into the ring below. There are many ways to get there. You guys know of the one that Heinrich is describing. You've heard of this huge central staircase that would probably go at least to the Ring of Copper. You know that... you've heard of a number of things. So it's entirely up to you guys how you want to progress there.
There are still some dwarves around cheering us on.
Not directly cheering you on. There are a few, maybe 10 feet away, and you can hear kind of like hushed little bits of conversation. People do look at you. People are pointing. You are heroes here.
All right,
so for sure.
The next one to look at me, I'm going to be like, hey, yo.
Okay. So you see, make a perception check.
That is 14.
Okay.
Passive 18.
You look around and try to find somebody whose eyes are on you, and you can see maybe like 15 feet away, group of three. They look like they're in their 30s, so Guntir, you would know probably between 50 and 90. A trio of dwarvish women. Two are wearing these sort of darker pink edging on purple doublets that look like maybe they are attendants of some kind, and then you can see a little bit more wealthy, a little bit older, in the center, black hair braids that kind of go down the back in big loops. Probably not like Ring of Gold wealthy, but probably you would imagine she would find her home somewhere in a place like Safe Quarter, a really, really nice sort of suburb within the Ring of Silver.
I'm gonna hey, you.
And you can see suddenly the two who are wearing this dark purple look, and there is some giggles, and then this woman approaches.
What's the quickest way down to the Undercity?
Ring of Iron, Guntir.
You're
The Ring of Iron. We've got important heroic business.
She's like blushing. Heroic business, you say? Okay.
Yeah.
The Ring of Iron. From here, you go, and you can see there's like still giggling going on behind you. Well, and you all watch. She leans in, and her arm, her side just press into Guntir. If you follow this road here, hang on, let me see what this is called.
I think that's all of our reactions watching that. Just being like, really?
He is the Slayer of Nightmares. If you just go straight down this road here, it's called Dark Umber Avenue, and then head right on the Temple Street, you will eventually come to what looks kind of like a
staircase.
Not a staircase. It's sort of like a house, but a little bit shorter and flatter than would be comfortable. There's
Like
a door.
hut?
No.
A hutch.
She turns and looks and kind of gestures, and you can see there's a building that has been like almost half demolished. The walls only rise up about 5 feet. It'll be about that height, and but there will be a roof on it. It will have an iron door. It will be locked, but I imagine for somebody like you could get somebody to open it, no problem, and just take those stairs.
All right. Well,
There are other doors, and those will lead to different access areas and things like that, but just go all the way to the bottom.
all right. Well, thanks for that.
Do you need to know anything else about the city or where you might want to go?
Don't try too hard.
Make a. Nah, you know what? You just hurt her. You just hurt her feelings
Make
for
a
free.
rudeness check.
You see her head drop back. Oh.
He
Okay.
didn't mean it. He's just, well, you have to be
I-
so
I-
hard
I
to defeat a
understand.
dragon, and a little callousness comes with his
We're
experience.
wasting time. Let's go.
And I'll just sort of
Guntir,
like
you
bow
just
and
Guntir starts
wave.
walking away.
I'll bow and wave an
can see her.
apology for Guntir.
You bow and wave, and you begin to walk away. And as there's the rest of you walking away,
With a little bit
You
of
can
a
just
smirk.
see.
We're trying to go down. I mean,
Sure.
I don't really.
So you make your way
We've
down.
been here partying with them too, so it's not like we just showed up and just left.
Sure.
So in my mind, it's justifiable.
Yeah, you held a small dance. So, as a group, you walk away. You can hear some conversation in the background. Guntir, you don't hear sobs, but you do hear one little sniff. You walk down this avenue. There are elements of buildings on either side that have crumbled inward. On your right, you pass a small, at one point, what might have been like a cafe of some kind, probably more of like a tavern or inn. But you can see whatever long wooden sort of bar-like structure was in there, completely black and charred. Elements of those stones have crumbled over the street. Not difficult terrain, but the street is not necessarily clear. You can see the bricks that have been laid as darker than the regular tone of Colteram's gray do spell out Dark Umber Avenue as you walk, and it's very easy to find your way. Using these directions without any issue, you pass a number of dwarves in the street. You're not stopped everywhere here. The dwarves here, you notice, keep a little bit more of a respectful distance. However, it takes you maybe 10 minutes, no more, and you come across this small, squat building. You can see in the back there's an area that's been almost broken away, and there's enough damage that you could actually probably crawl in through the top. But there is an iron door as well. On either side, it is flanked by, on the right side actually, a house that looks mostly intact, fairly small, long. It goes back a ways, but fairly small. And on the left, just burned remains of something that at one point may have been a building. Hard to tell.
I'm gonna go try to jimmy that door open.
Sure, make a lockpicking check. This is sleight of hand.
Oh,
Do you have?
While he's doing that, can I look
have
around to see if
lockpicking
anyone might be
tools.
able to assist us?
Sure, make a perception check.
Okay. 5. There are people.
You look around. The smoke seems to almost get thicker for a moment as a particularly heavy section wafts through. You see the faint outline of figures shifting in the distance, but nobody immediately who might be helpful. You see Morwen, who you would imagine probably pretty good at picking locks. You look into who's holding the urn, by the way? Are you guys just lugging it around, or is it
It's
in
in
the
the
bag?
bag.
Okay, cool. Helia
I
probably
made
could
sure
have
that
sold.
it didn't like open up in the bag too. There was.
I
a whole
remember
thing
that,
about
yes, I do
it's
remember
got a
that.
screw top and everything.
So
I got
Guntir?
a 7.
Okay. You stand there for about 5 minutes. You see Guntir get down towards the locks as his hand approaches, shaking slightly. It already doesn't look great, and Guntir, you begin to hear. Yeah, just all of a sudden you hear little fists on a door. Clank, 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 clank. Guntir, it does not open.
Doing this, I'm just gonna like nudge Heinrich and be like, and I'm gonna step over now that he's failed and do it myself.
Okay. So Guntir, as your little fists bang on this metal door, Morwen steps forward. Morwen, go ahead and make a lockpicking check.
Gladly.
I loosened it for you.
It's 18.
18. So as Guntir says, I loosen, ting, and the door turns and opens. No problem, Morwen. This is a pretty basic lock. As the door opens, inside, going back, perhaps 10 feet in most, it almost looks like a tool shed. However, it is short and squat. The ceiling's no more than about 6.5 feet tall. Heinrich, if you were to jump, you would hit your antlers on the ceiling.
And get stuck and dangle my feet, kind of.
I mean, you'd have to jump pretty hard. That's an athletics check right there. But yeah, you maybe.
I took jump. I'm just kidding, I didn't take jump.
Who takes jump?
No.
It's not jump. It's like athletic, I think, is the feat. But it gives you that
No, the
extra
spell.
jump.
I mean.
Oh, the spell. You took it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, who takes that? Anyone who plays Elder Scrolls knows don't jump too high.
Is there fall damage? So in front of you, past that 10 feet, almost like Guntir, you would see kind of like a mine shaft, but it's just a long staircase that goes down. You see about 30 feet down a landing, another door, and then it seems to back switch and continue downward. There is no light, so you see in shades of gray. It is a pretty dark passage.
Alright. Well, meet you at the bottom. I'm gonna start going down the stairs.
Okay.
Can I?
Guntir.
Are there any noises? Is there
Make
any
a perception
immediate
check.
sense of
Great, yeah.
threat?
Great
Can I
idea,
just
great
try
idea.
to see if this is a good idea or not?
As Guntir begins to walk down the stairs, you quickly look down.
Natural 20.
Natural 20.
From a
Nice.
4 to a 20, that's not boding well for tonight.
Heinrich, in the darkness from the opposite side, if this was to be a movie,
I
you
feel
would
like
see
I would-
Guntir.
Pet the back of Nod's head and just kind of squint and look in.
Okay. So, to anybody watching, you can see Guntir walk and kind of fade down out of the camera. And in this dark doorway, there's one golden eye, and suddenly, poof, poof, these two faintly turquoise with this faint glow, long pupils, Nod's eyes, gleam through the darkness. You take this room in effortlessly. You see the faint kind of slump of stone along the right wall where you'd imagine, given the narrowness of this space, over many, many years and people progressing, people's elbows just kind of faintly etching just a little bit of a divot in this wall. You look around. On the first step, you actually find one piece of copper.
Oh, shit.
You
Worth it.
you can find elements of soot around the very beginning, but not further. So you can imagine nobody has walked down the staircase since all of this has begun. You feel pretty confident that there are no traps. You feel pretty confident that this is a mostly unused space.
Any
the most
sounds or
dangerous
anything
thing-
from further down.
Yeah, you hear something very dangerous.
Guntir.
Yeah, as he walks down, you hear the grunts and pops of Guntir's old joints, but
Okay.
nothing beyond.
All right. I'm gonna turn up to Nod and be like, all right. I don't think you probably don't feel too comfortable in here, and so I'm just going to instinctively dismiss Nod into the pocket dimension for the duration of being in a confined space. Don't want her
You
to
can-
get all ruffled up.
As you sort of kind of pet the back of Nod's head and you think about putting Nod into this kind of safer spot, suddenly the feathers seem to draw back into the skin, almost like the wings retract into the back, and just disappears. You would imagine fairly easy to call back should you want to.
Cool. And I will progress down as well after Guntir.
Okay, so Guntir, Heinrich,
I'll follow.
Morwen, Shae. Guntir, Heinrich, Morwen, Shae. You begin to walk down the stairs. Guntir, you taking the lead. You go down the first 30 feet. You hit this landing. It is 10 feet wide and about 15 feet long. There's 5 feet of stone and then another set of kind of stairs that go down. There is a wooden door here. It has iron frames, bolts that hold those framings into place. There is like a iron ring, a little bit rusted. You would imagine there's no keyhole, so it's not locked. You could probably just pull the door open. And then there's the other set of stairs. You now notice that there are metal brackets on the wall that would mark places for sconces, perhaps, or torches, but nothing currently lit.
I'll light my wrist guard instead.
Okay.
Just because we walk around the dark so long, and now I'm getting tired of it.
Sure. So holding your hand over this wrist strap, and you're casting light,
Yeah.
you can see suddenly along the material small celestial circles and runes form, and they grow brighter and brighter until the teal washes into a sort of natural light. Shae, suddenly it's much easier to see. Guntir, what are you doing?
I think I'm gonna casually just like see if the door that we're at is open, and if it is, or unlocked rather, and if it is, just poke it open a little and see like, oh, what's this?
So it is a pull door. I will, just give you that right off the bat.
Okay, I'm gonna go to the side where I can pull it open and have it not knock me off into my death.
Okay.
Can I do one of these by Guntir and just keep going down?
Sure. You kind of do this like little shuffle past Guntir. And as Guntir pulls the door open, he kind of backs into you, and it's awkward for a moment, but no problem. You go by him and just begin your way down the stairs. Guntir, as you open this door, there's nothing more than a closet here. You see a few like coated in dust, and like as you open the door, cobwebs fall out and kind of almost wash across your face. This has not been opened in a long time. It looks like a janitor's closet, essentially. You can see a few old brooms, and there's a bucket. There's a higher shelf, but pretty standard closet.
Alright. Nothing of note. Shut it and keep heading down.
Keep walking down. So now Heinrich, Guntir, Morwen, Shae.
Keeping you
Slowly-
on your toes.
slowly rotating. You walk down the next 30 feet. Heinrich, you just going straight by, holding this arm wrap out, easy enough to see. This staircase significantly steeper and longer. It seems to descend almost 200 feet straight down. And so for a moment, as you get to the top, you feel claustrophobic to a certain extent. These ceilings not high. This is not wider than 5 feet. You can see here and there are these kind of metal brackets, but you don't need any kind of torch. You have your own light. Guntir, as you come to this space, you can kind of see like Heinrich walking down. There is almost a vague feeling of comfort. This is a very kind of narrow space. This is built for people like you. And as you begin to walk down the stairs, these are like dwarf-sized steps. So for the rest of you, you're taking like kind of awkward half steps every now and then. Although actually, Heinrich, for you could probably just take 2 steps at a time. For Guntir, like this is actually pretty good on your hips and back. You know, you're 287 years old, and every little bit helps. But you take the staircase 1 stair at a time. Heinrich, using that 20 from before, for the duration of this walk, you don't sense anything necessarily dangerous or malevolent. There is a brief moment. I would say, what is your... You rolled a natural 20. There's like a brief moment where you actually hear something in the walls kind of scurrying, but based on the size, it's something small, like a rodent perhaps, and it's behind the stone. You can do something with that if you want, or leave it be.
Kind of message to Shae, I suppose.
Okay.
Relay the info.
Okay.
Just be like, keep an eye out, I guess.
Message received.
Yeah. Keep on going.
Confirmed.
Yeah.
Confirmed. And you guys continue. And with no further issue, you make it down to the bottom. There is a very simple, almost matching the chamber on the top, very short doorway at the end. And you would imagine on the other side the ring of iron.
I'll wait for everyone to catch up.
Doesn't take too long. Guntir is holding everybody else up because Guntir is the slowest of all of you, and so for you, Morwen and Shae, you have to walk like pretty slow. There are times, Shae, where for you it's like you're standing still. But
I
you
am doing
do
my best to
eventually.
usher Guntir along, because this is an uncomfortable space for me.
Yes, very much so.
Yes.
Anti-sky.
Yes.
You make your way down at the pace that is appropriate, and you reach Heinrich. Heinrich, you can see this door. This one does have a lock. However, you can see there is an element that's kind of like something that you can turn to unlock it from the inside. So without any issue, if you wish, you can unlock this door.
As long as it seems safe to do so.
Worth noting, with that natural 20, underneath the door, there's about a half-inch gap. And coming into the space that you are in, almost like a full inch under the door, is just ash.
Okay. I'm gonna actually have everyone back up a bit.
Okay.
Oh, come on, man. It took us like 10 minutes
No,
to get down
just
here.
just in case. Okay, look, the city is filled with ash. If
Yeah,
it's to
there
be
was a
assumed-
dragon. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, but like you've been on the inside during a blizzard, right? You open the door and the snow falls in. That's kind of what I'm thinking is gonna happen here. So don't want to
Yeah.
like suffocate ourselves. Just back up. I'll open it and run back, and then we can just blow it away.
Why don't we just kick it?
Okay, you know what? Here, Guntir, and I'll just do the like sideways against the wall, like shuffle, let him pass.
All the scales just going up against the rock. Guntir, do you want to go past and open the door?
Ew, if you're moving past, I am imagining like really bad squeaks
Nail on a
noises.
chalkboard.
Yeah. I don't know why I said squeak. I mean, it's scratchy.
I'll
Well,
make
I
it
guess
even
if
worse
you're
if it
too-
seems like it's pissing people or Guntir off.
If you're too frightened, I suppose I can open the door.
No. It's all right. You're the leader.
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, then back up a little bit, and I'll open the door, and we'll try it this way.
I'm gonna scooch by.
You're wearing leather armor because your plate mail is currently in the shop.
I'm
So you
gonna
guys
Make
hear
your
verbalize
voice
it.
now.
Guntir, do you want to make a loud noise like Heinrich made?
Yes.
Okay. Gunter, as you put your back up against the wall, you take the heel of your hand and push the head of the axe that you keep up against the stone and screech it across as
Ooh,
you walk back up.
nice.
Make a performance check, Gunter.
Nice.
Natural 20!
Oh shit.
It's the worst sound. This is
we all
like
take a point of
A
psychic
natural 20
damage.
for the worst sound. Why
Yeah.
is this what you have to use it on?
this is the equivalent of like Edward Scissorhands
As it
dragging
should
nails
be.
down a chalkboard. It's pretty horrific. It echoes up the staircase. Heinrich, you can see all the soot at the base of the door kind of displace a little bit before settling down. It's loud. And Gunter,
All
even
one
when you
fur
come
sticks
to
up
a
and I'm like,
yeah, even when you come to a stop, Gunter, it echoes for like another 2 or 3 seconds.
You hit the resonant tone of the
Yeah,
room.
it's pretty brutal.
All right. I will now proceed to execute the thing that I said that I would do, which is unlock, open, back up,
Okay.
and like, you know.
why would you just...
You unlock the door, grab onto the knob, turn it
It's
slowly,
been a while.
and then you pull and step back as far as you can. For the rest of you watching, it's almost as if this black cloak unfurls into the room, but it's just soot and ash. It goes in, I would say, Heinrich, make a constitution saving throw. And actually, Morwen, make a constitution saving throw.
20. Dirty 20.
Nice.
4.
Heinrich, being prepared for this and already sensing that this might happen, as you see, you open the door and it's just black rushing towards you. You take your cloak and pull it over your face, no problem. Morwen, as this rushes in, you gasp and just inhale ash. You fall to the ground, kind of coughing, choking. For the for Guntir and Shae, you for a moment just lose Heinrich and Morwen. It's as if for a moment, especially you, Gunter, who have experienced it before, it's as if magical darkness takes the space before suddenly you can see like prongs of antlers and you can hear like Morwen gagging on the ground. As this soot begins to settle, Morwen, you on your hands and knees, the ash that has come into the space rises up to about the middle of your arm. It's almost a half foot high in here. And Heinrich, as this begins to go down, you can see out elements of the street. It is this deep, dark, angry orange glow that illuminates this area, and there is still just ash falling and accumulating. You can see elements of benches and things like that just are almost completely covered. It stands about a foot deep in most places, but aside from that, you kind of wait a moment, and aside from the little bits of ash falling and that you have disturbed, you don't see another soul.
Do I recognize, based on our brief stint in this area, the run from the base of the... What was the... Did we climb up the pillar of stairs to get here too? Where we came out after...
You took the rat. You took
dying?
the rat tunnels.
Okay, so that was also the exit of that.
You guys
Do I
took
recognize
the...
that building anywhere?
Make a perception check. You don't recognize the building. I mean, you begin to take in the details of it and try to piece together what you're seeing.
Yeah.
What is it? Okay.
Natural 1 or a 2.
Yeah, you're pretty confident that this is the place that you've heard of that is called the Cumberdown. It's also the only place in the Ring of Copper that you've heard of, and so it's the only one that comes to mind.
Okay.
Could be.
I have no memory of this place. Do we all want to go out? I'll start going out and looking around.
I mean, this is
Yeah,
the
if
bottom
the
of
door's
stairs,
open
right?
now. I'm gonna help Morwen up. Be like, walk it off.
I'm just making horrible sounds.
Like
Terrible,
furball, yeah.
Loud hairball sounds.
Of course, yeah. So loud hairball sounds, hacking and coughing coming from the ground. But who is leading this expedition?
Do any of us remember where
I never pay
entrance
attention
was-
to where we go, so no.
Shae?
Where are we going?
You were leaving
Who
things
are you?
around for Croddock to follow, right? Did you take
That
in
was
any
higher
of the...
than here. That was up on the Ring of Silver, not down here.
Right. Do you
We're
remember
trying to
this
go
place?
down, right?
Well, right, but we know a way down. We just need to find that building that we arrived on this
Oh,
level.
just go ask someone.
Yeah. Or we get a vantage point or something. I mean,
Yes,
whatever.
all of the people
In
walking around like nothing is wrong here, and I
Yeah,
gesture.
you look
Yeah.
out into this empty street and you just hear like the like a wind and nothing else. There isn't even really a wind here, so weird that you hear it, but you just see ash falling, and then
It
it's
came from my
very
natural
quiet.
one.
Yeah,
In-
exactly.
I'm sure
looking
we'll run
out
into
through the
someone.
door, does there look like there's a high point nearby that I can
Make a
get to?
perception check.
Or not. Natural 20.
Natural 20. Even for you, with your dark vision, this light that seems to glow, both from, it seems like it's coming from almost all around, and you've been, from the Ring of Silver, you can recognize there are embers still smoldering everywhere. And as you get closer to look out, you can feel it is a little bit warmer down here. With a natural 20, I'm trying to think of what the highest thing, actually, I could just look at my notes. You're looking for something to get like a vantage point on?
Yeah.
Okay. The highest thing in the area, although difficult to climb, well, difficult for most people to climb, probably pretty easy for you. There's a flagpole, although whatever flag once stood there, it was on like a iron or steel kind of cord because that's still there, but there is no flag. It's either been torn down or burned. That rises like 20 feet up, and in this immediate vicinity seems to be the tallest. It's taller than a lot of the remains of the buildings. Further than that, you can see, and like up along the actual interior of Mount Taram, there are plenty of rocks that you could climb and get a better vantage point.
How far
But
away
that-
are those?
That goes up and curves in, so it's harder to hold on to.
Sure.
The closest one is only about like 100 feet away. Is that like wall?
I'm gonna run out and try the flagpole first, and if I can't get a good spot from there, I'll go try the rock.
Okay. Shae, for you, you would imagine for most people this would be very difficult to walk through. This ash, in places, you sink a little bit and suddenly you're knee deep. You step in a place that you imagine is going to be really deep and suddenly your foot clang hits something metal like a trash can. It would be very difficult for most people, but as you begin to kind of get a sense for the patterns of this place, ash doesn't settle terribly unlike snow, and that is something you're very familiar with. So without any issue, you progress your normal speed. But for the rest of you, especially Guntir, this is slow going. This is difficult terrain. It's going to take you a little bit to pick through. Guntir, you especially, at your...
Until
Mhm.
until Gunter
Ah,
casts freedom of movement on himself.
Okay, so what does that look like? How does Guntir cast that?
I'm like, gotta get my boots on ready. Get through this difficult terrain.
So you watch as Guntir
I'm
pulls
gonna-
his boots up, the left one first, and then as his hands grasp the right one, there is this jolt of magic. It seems almost like a force wave that emanates from Guntir's body. There isn't the flashy sort of brilliant glyphs that appear when you cast magic, but there is a force behind it. And Guntir, you cast freedom of movement on yourself. As you step into the ash, it is as if it parts around you. You step, and you can see as your foot goes down, the ash sift away, almost like soot sprites, kind of. And you see at its base just the gray stone of Colteron below. You walk without issue through this path. It seems to almost settle in behind you. You watch as Shae, in places, is able to stand on ash. She can move in ways that
Fucking
are,
weird.
yeah, like hard to imagine. But Shae is pretty light. You guys make your way towards this area. Are you guys going to follow Shae as best you can?
I suppose so.
Okay. You're able to keep in sight range of her. She easily gets beyond you. Shae, you reach the wall, look back, still about 50 feet away. You can see Heinrich easily. You can see Morwen, whose fur, the black tabaxi fur, is kind of gathering bits of soot and becoming slowly more gray. And then you can see the brilliant platinum beard of Guntir, now like in places kind of like patchy, and you can see like the hair is beginning to kind of like fall out into place where it was scorched. but that is also becoming much more gray, kind of like Gunter's hair was previously, with little yet.
Okay. And
You reach the base of this wall. You can see there are various handholds. You would imagine, if you would like, you can make an athletics or acrobatics check and attempt to reach a higher point.
acrobatics. That is 25.
So, Heinrich, you are following Shae the closest, and when you're about 30 feet back, you can see Shae standing. It's almost like a divot. Slight inclination down. This might have at one point, you would imagine there's probably dirt around this area. But you don't see her tense her legs. Suddenly, elements of the soot begin to kind of turn and swirl, and already Shae is gone before they just rush like a whirlwind. Shae, you leap almost 30 feet with this first jump, and alight 1 foot on this small, no more than 6-inch outcropping of rock before leaping again. No problem. You make it about 80 feet up. You find almost like a natural-looking protrusion, like a gargoyle almost, that comes out. It is just stone, but you could very easily see it, like somebody being like, "Oh, that rock looks kind of like a face." But you manage to perch very like Batman-esque over this area, and taking your natural 20, you see a number of things. You see below you your friends, Heinrich, Guntir, sort of. He's like really kind of almost, he's like in the soot. You can see like it gets up where he is currently standing. He's like shuffling through. It's all just going by him like he's moving through water, no problem. But still like chest deep in this soot. You see buildings sprawled out in all directions, elements kind of still peeking out through the ash, but many of them damaged to a point where it's kind of hard to see. You can see what looks like, well, you see the flagpole, and then beyond that, the structure that at one point it stood outside, maybe a civic building of some kind, larger than the rest. What are you looking for in particular?
If I recognize any place like we've passed through before first, and then if not, any other passage that looks like it might lead down.
Okay. In the soot, it is very hard to see much. How long are you willing to spend looking for something from this point?
All of the time.
Okay. Minutes go by and they drift and stretch out, and for a little while, some of you who have a passive perception of below 15, you lose sight of Shae. As the smoke and ash falls and wind and natural air currents kind of take it, it's hard to see her, even in the bright orange zinnia garb that she wears. But Shae, you spend a lot of time looking, and then you notice something. Almost impossible to see at this distance, but at the top, naturally, your eyes draw to the highest points of places, places where you would naturally leave messages. And you see a place where the ash is significantly less built up. No more than a foot across. It's on a flat rooftop, itself kind of on a shelf that has maybe 5 or 6 buildings, 2 of them completely ruined, but the rest fairly intact. Maybe through all the smoke and ash, it's like 300 feet away. You just barely see an area that is much thinner than it should be.
Okay. I'm gonna plot a course to it and then head back down.
Make an intelligence check.
That's a 18.
Okay.
Nice.
You guys can't see Shae. Another 15 minutes go by. 20, 25. Shae, you make your way. You didn't tell anybody where you were going, but you make your way across. You begin to pick at little elements of rocks and crawl along what you would imagine is the western part of Mount Jerome. Below you, buildings begin to pass. Gunter?
I was plotting a course for them and then going back
Oh,
down.
for them. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Comes back down.
Well done. You begin to go down.
It's been like
It's been
10
a long
whole
week.
minutes.
It's been a long week. You descend easily enough. You actually can almost free fall most of the way down. For those of you at the bottom, Guntir, you're like, oh, it's been like 10 whole minutes. Suddenly, this huge swirl of ash and soot fly up into this whirlwind. Morwen, you've just finished like coughing out the last bits of it, and it just flies into your face again.
Wonderful.
But Shae, you touch down, no damage. You stand up looking for your friends, and for a moment, there's just black. And then kind of you hear coughing, and slowly you're able to see the outlines of your friends. Around Shae, there's like 10 feet of stone.
There's a building where the soot isn't as thick. I think we should go.
Oh, you mean right where you just made a big spot of no soot because you knocked it all into us?
No, this is what I mean.
Does it look like...
Oh, who cares? Let's get there.
Okay, wait, hold on. Does it look like the building that we came from, or is it just another place for you to look out from?
I don't recognize anything. Either things have changed too much, or whatever the case
Everything's
is.
covered in soot. I'm gonna start
But-
walking.
Okay. So
I'll wait for Shae and follow her instead then if you...
Place where this has not settled, which indicates traffic.
Guntir,
Okay, let's be careful.
where are you walking?
In the direction that Shae pointed to.
Okay, make a survival check for me. What are the rest of you doing?
Surviving.
I'm going
No,
to
follow
start
Shae's
walking
lead.
in the direction that I plotted out.
Alright. Let's see. What's my survival? It's pretty good. Nice. That's a 22.
22.
Oh.
Interesting. Guntir, you are just shuffling along, and it takes you a while.
I survive.
You do. You walk through the quick part that Shae had just blown free, and like you make like 1-2 real quick steps, and then immediately you hit soot and ash, and your progress is slowed. But you
Except
begin...
that I still have freedom
Oh,
of
right.
movement.
How long does that last?
An hour.
An hour? Oh, yeah, no problem. You still have it up. So as you begin to move, you hit this part, and again, it's almost as if this spot that Shae has made moves with you. The ash is moving around you, almost like air. Shae, you still catch up to Guntir. So as a group, you guys progressed in the way that Shae said. You have to move around buildings here and there. And Guntir, with that 22, there is a point where you step on something, clang, different sound. You kind of pull your boot away. You shuffle some of the ash out. You can see still coated in this sort of gray bits of burnt wood or rock or perhaps dwarf. There are the little bits of metal that would indicate there is almost like maybe like a manhole cover.
I'm gonna brush it off a bit, see if I can find an edge to this manhole cover.
You brush it off. It is maybe like 2 feet wide. And there aren't like an edge to lift it from, but there are divots in the actual bricks around it that you could slide your hand into and pull it away.
Okay, yeah, I wanna wedge it open with the blunt end of my axe, I suppose.
Okay. So you watch as Guntir pulls the axe out and just
Found
jimmies this thing open.
A sewer main or something.
And you slide this manhole cover over, and looking down, you can see this. It's very, very low, the water level here, no more than like 3 or 4 inches. And areas of it is like cakey and muddy with just elements of ash and soot that have accumulated. But aside from that little bit, the air down there much cleaner. Cleaner is a strong word. The air down there much less hard to breathe. The soot and ash don't take up the space as much there. You can see this is a small sewer. This is not like the sewers of Port Quinn. This is designed for dwarves. It is not a sewer for like sewage. You would imagine this is more of like a water runoff for when snow melts. But it does seem to descend.
Alright, so down we go, right?
Is he by himself?
Yeah, I think
You guys were all heading in the same direction. I mean, if you guys
okay.
keep walking towards the building that Shae was going to, it's like another 100 feet away. But this is just kind of in the road on the way there.
What? Are we just getting rid of going the way that we know all of a
Wait,
sudden,
hold
or?
on. It's
I mean, we're going down, right?
Yeah, but like,
Well, how about
to where?
Shae, since we're getting close to that place that you wanted to see, and you can clearly get there much quicker than us, why don't you quickly run over there while we stay here to see which is the better path, just so we don't lose this spot. Shall we?
Yeah, you can catch up to us. Is
No,
there a
I'll wait
ladder?
for you here. I just wanna.
There's
we-
not.
If we move away from this little place, it'll probably get more soot on it, and we can't find it.
Am I able to judge how deep it is?
Yeah, roughly. It's maybe like a 20-foot drop. Not too bad. And it's like a 20-foot drop down, and it's like, it's narrow. Even for you, Guntir, if you really tried and wanted to risk it, you could like put your hands out and try to like lower yourself that way. It's just a shaft that goes down,
Why
and
do
then
you
from the
tempt me
ceiling,
with these
maybe,
things?
huh?
Why do you tempt me with these things? Of
And
course
then
I'm going
the
to do
ceiling
this.
of the space is perhaps 10 feet up from the floor, and you can actually see the wall. So this is no more than maybe like 7 or 8 feet wide.
Okay. I'm gonna slowly ease myself in and then try to like crawl, I guess. Yeah, like, you know,
Yeah,
Emperor's New Groove my way down.
make an athletics check.
Nice. And by nice, I mean
Nice.
9.
You watch as Guntir like gets to the edge and lowers his wrinkly old legs over, and then puts his hands on the edge. Ha! Straight down, Guntir. You fall. You hit the water, and so you take 5 points of bludgeoning damage as you into the wet, muddy. It's like gray mud. It doesn't smell like sewage, so again, you feel confident that this is not like human waste per se or dwarven waste.
In pea water.
Yeah, as far as you can tell, just normal kind of like. I mean, it's gritty and ashy, but just water.
I'm okay.
I'm just gonna look down at him and up at Shae and just be like,
All good.
yeah, where was your spot?
Do you want me to go take a look? While you figure out Guntir?
Before we jump down there for sure, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look around and see, like, is the path down a clear path now?
Like down this tunnel.
Yeah, like now that I'm down
Make a perception check.
in
Sure.
the tunnel, is it just like, oh, it's just a hop, skip, and another 20-foot fall away? Ooh, that's a 20-something big. 28.
The 28. You squint. The wrinkles around your 287-year-old eyes, like just almost obscuring your vision. But in this moment, you take in the place. Still, nobody has followed you down, so it is quite quiet. You can see this shaft seems to go, and it's a very, very slight decline, but it seems to go maybe 60 feet forward, and then it goes to the left and the right. You can see just a wall where it ends, but it branches off like a T intersection. Both paths there seem to be angled slightly down still.
Okay. You guys coming?
Maybe.
Okay.
Shae.
And I'm just gonna sit on the edge of
Maybe.
it.
I'm going
kick all my
to-
feet in, then kick them.
Suddenly you just see these Morwen's feet just drop down.
I'm going to head off
Shae.
cautiously in the direction of the place. As
Okay.
quickly as cautiously allows me to.
So, there are 3 speeds in D&D. You can be stealthy, you can go
Quickly,
normal
stealthily.
speed, or you can go quickly.
So what
Or
I said,
Gunter speed, which is
cautiously.
slow and not stealthy.
So you're going normal speed.
Yes.
Okay. So, you walk down the street, easily going through this soot. It is not, for you, difficult terrain. It's almost as if your feet find the rubble and bricks beneath and have no trouble stepping over them. You make your way up to this much taller building. You actually see this metal plaque almost like right in front of where the doors are, these two big iron doors. A little bit obscured with soot, but you can make out a few dwarven runes there. You look up. There are actually windows that were here, which in and of itself for Colteron pretty unusual. They're very narrow, tall, arched, stone kind of lining them, but for you, very easy to climb. It's almost like somebody built a ladder for you. So without even rolling, if you want, you can ascend.
Yep, going up.
Okay. Yeah, so you use these frames. Every now and then you have to kind of flex your calf muscles and push off to grab the next one, but for you, for a monk, no problem. You scale. Heinrich, keeping an eye out and just kind of watching, there are moments where it clears enough that you can actually see this bright orange kind of ascend. And then you lose sight of her as she gets to the roof. Shae, as you get to the roof, there is, without a doubt, only about an inch of soot here, although it is accumulating again. You would imagine whatever disturbed this, and it looks as if an area had been cleared at some point for whatever reason and is now slightly obscured, no more than maybe 12 hours ago.
Any indication of what may have cleared it?
Just from standing there and
Just from
looking at it,
standing there
nothing,
and looking,
it'd be
okay.
hard to tell.
Are there any obvious paths down?
Not that you can see. You're on the upper roof, and looking over each side, you can see similar large arched windows. Doesn't seem like there is. So looking around, there's no door to access this place. This is not meant to be an accessible place necessarily.
Okay. I will make my way back then.
Okay. You make your way back down, no problem. This time kind of sliding down with your fingers and stopping yourself just enough so that it's not a free fall. Easy enough, you make your way down and back to the group. Guntir, are you doing anything down there? Nobody. You just see Morwen's legs just kind of.
I'm like, hey guys, Rick, you're not coming?
Maybe.
What do you mean, maybe? Well, then pass me the urn. I'll take it myself.
Shae returns.
Really?
Did you find any
Weird.
sign of like a building that we came from or anything?
The building I saw is strange for this place. It had windows and no clear point of access, and very obviously something disturbed the ash.
Well, why are you looking
but
for buildings when we're in a sewer right here? We're trying to go down.
no obvious points of descent.
Except for the sewer.
Well, sewers do just go down, right?
I'm literally staring right at it. It goes down.
Yeah, I don't want to go down there. So.
I heard that.
Yep. You okay? So I'm trying to remember, both me and I guess Heinrich at the same time.
Sure.
When we came out of the wall, I guess the rat tunnels, the first time, and met up with Smashmouth. That was
Smash
near the
Top.
Dawnfather Ziggurat, right?
The Dawnfoggers.
Yeah, the
Yes.
Dawnfoggers.
So
Smashmouth and the Dawnfoggers.
you kind of close, yeah. I mean, they're both in the Ring of Silver.
And so.
Oh
from
no, sorry.
where- Well, right. That's where we came out and then like found that place after sneaking around for a bit. Where was this hut that we entered in through in relation to that like false wall that we came out of?
As near as you could tell, because you do know a little bit more about the Ring of Silver and have spent some time there, that particular portion, kind of on the northwestern part, the part that you were at previously,
Yep.
the part that you went down, more southern.
Okay. So, Guntir, I think we're on the farther side of the city from the entry point that we knew. Does the sewer curve? And I kind of like try to position myself and be like, this way, and I point towards the northwestern area, I suppose.
Guntir, you look
Assuming
up,
that
you
we
see
went in the wall,
Morwen's.
went down. You know what I mean?
You just see Morwen's feet.
Yeah, it goes this way if you're pointing down to the direction that we were heading.
Right. Ugh.
You know, I feel like I'm the only one with any sense of direction here. We're trying to go down and we have people climbing onto rooftops.
Oh my god. Ugh. All right. What do you see? Is it?
I see a tunnel, and it goes down. And now I'm going down. I'm gonna start walking.
You hear splash, 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 splash. Guntir walks down.
Ew.
Gross.
It's mud that's made out of ash.
Slushy
Yeah, it's pretty
mud.
gross. What are you guys doing? You hear Guntir making his way down a sewer.
Squash 'em.
Well, I guess I'm gonna join. I don't want him to go by himself.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to. How far down is it?
It's like a 20-foot drop. 10 feet of it is like in a central, almost like stone shaft that's very, very tight. And then it opens up into the 10-foot tall sewer below. Or it's like a rain run. You guys have actually heard of this place. It's part of what is called the Grey Water Runoff.
Right.
This is a smaller chamber to a central artery, you'd imagine.
Wait, is this is the down part, like the tight part you said, is it small enough that I can like shimmy down?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll do
I
that, and
almost
then just
did.
for the last 10 feet, I'll just kind of drop in, tuck and roll to try not to hurt myself.
Yeah, make an acrobatics check.
Right, that is a. Let's see. Oh, okay, 23. I'm an expert in that one.
You see Morwen put
As
her
I'll
back.
show right now.
Yeah, you see Morwen put her back against the shaft, and she literally runs, her back sliding down the entirety of the 10 feet. She falls backwards, basically doing a half of a backflip and just landing. No problem. Little.
I'm gonna shout up. You can do it. Put your back into it.
You can do it. Put your back into it.
And then I'm just gonna be below, just being like this.
Wow.
So
Wowee. I look at Shae. I'm like, I don't like this hole. Do you want to go the other direction, the way that we came? Because I feel like I know how to find it.
As much as I agree with you, do we really want to leave the kids alone?
I don't know.
Unsupervised?
Hey,
Because
It's
being
just-
the 287-year-old dwarf
It's
and
just
the
odd
like
when you-
1-year-old tabaxi.
It's just unfortunate that the kids make the decision for all of us without consulting, and I'd rather use this opportunity as a life lesson.
As would I. I'm just afraid that
All
they're
right.
going to get themselves into more
Yeah, you're
trouble than
right.
they
You're
can get
right. I
themselves
guess I
out
just
of.
needed the voice of reason to say it. I really wish you would have agreed with me, but also I would have
I
felt
do
guilty
agree
the
with
whole
you.
way.
I do agree with you.
I would have
Point of
felt
record.
guilty the whole way. All right. Do you want to go down first?
I'll go down,
Go down
last.
last.
If you would like, I can hold a rope for you so you can climb down.
Well, I was gonna pull the thing shut over our head. Although I guess you could do that. You're strong. Fine. All right. I'll go down. I'll try to as well. Let me see if there's anything I have to help myself.
Because of the shape of this, Heinrich, as you lower yourself, you realize if you twist your head just the right way, your antlers are shaped in such a way that the natural friction of it, you could probably just down
Yeah,
the
but I don't
entire
want to
way.
like grind my, you know.
Yeah, I'm just
It took a
saying,
while to grow.
you realize you
Wait.
could probably do it.
Wait. I like looked down and then I'm like, wait. This is stupid. We've done holes before. Hold on. And I just like, I do like the,
Excuse?
I take one shoulder off and I like sling the bag around. I fish in for some rope. Cause you know.
Okay, yeah, why not? Yeah, no problem. You pull rope out of your bag. You've done this.
And then I hand the other end to Shae. I'm like, Shae, would you help? Please, thank you.
Of course.
So Shae, you take a little bit of time and help Heinrich do this hole. You secure the rope on the top part, and Heinrich, no problem. You make your way down.
Okay, and then I will coil it up. I'm assuming Shae just falls softly.
Yep.
No problem. Shae, you step off the edge.
Well, I think I
Do
want to
not wanna-
like position myself in the hole first to pull the cover over.
Okay.
And then
Make an athletics check.
That is a 25.
So Shae, you take by the inside parts of it. There's no place on the manhole cover itself on the top to grab it, but on the bottom you can see like little divots that you would imagine 3 fingers on each side would go into.
Mm-hmm.
You have enough grip strength as a monk to like pincer those parts. You hold it over your head and just pop. You go into it, it shuts. There's no clang. It creates almost a suction effect, and the surrounding ash serves to muffle the sound of it, and then you onto the ground below. No problem. Guntir, you've made it about 20 feet in this time. Progressing down, you hear first Morwen land, shout out to put her. You hear a shout up to Heinrich, and then Heinrich takes some time and then comes down. You turn, Shae's already down as well, but you are all now within the smaller part of the gray water runoff. You can see, ironically, now gray water, gray with ash running through.
Very dark.
Given your hand wrap now taking the space, no. It is a narrow enough passage.
The light to Shae since she needs it more anyways, if that's okay with you, Shae. Or do you want to use your goggles?
I'll take it. I feel like light's gonna benefit us all in this.
Yeah, I'll on one of her hand wraps.
You touch your hand wrap, and for a moment, Shae, you actually see these small symbols, like impossible to read. You know what they look like just because you've seen the larger versions as Heinrich cast spells, but they seem to almost leak and then seep into the arm wrap that you wear, and suddenly it bursts with a bit of light, and seeing is much easier for you. Guntir, you are in the lead, and you walk another 40 feet and get to the end of this and see what's left and right if you want.
Yeah, I want to see what's left and right.
Okay, you begin to walk. Anybody following?
I'm gonna lean over to Shae and just be like, all right, there's 2 ways we can do this. Still with the whole teaching a lesson thing. Either...
I'm right here. No, I'm just kidding.
And
I'm not.
And I like lean even further
I
away.
I hear
fucked off.
them?
I'm
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
there
trying to
must
be
be an
quiet.
echo.
I'm trying to be quiet.
You could,
Yeah, okay.
It's just between Shae and I.
Guntir and Morwen are now making their way. You wait for a little bit. You kind of like hold back, and
Yeah.
they make their way a little bit closer to the end. They're about 40 feet away.
Okay.
And you tell Shae.
So, we could either let Guntir lead this and just hang back, and if any harm would come to the group, he would justifiably be the first to get it, or we can do this the safe way, and maybe if you wanted to, or I could take the lead instead. I kind of want to see what happens down here because we're down here, and I'm curious. But I also like hate that we got dragged down here by Guntir,
I
so
feel
maybe let him.
that
be the
Guntir
trap
needs
sounder.
to walk this path for this time, so I'm going to let him take the course.
It is a fitting path. Let's hang back.
No love for Guntir.
Guntir, you and Morwen make your way to the end of this tunnel. You look left and you look right. You look left. Down maybe like 30 feet and then winding. This like seems to almost drop into a free fall. This leads directly down. You can see like 30 feet and then a drop. However, blocking that and like maybe midway between the two, there is a shaft of this soft, embery sort of light that is glowing from above. You look up, you can see a hole in the ceiling that you would imagine leads up to another one of these manholes. At the bottom of it, there is a pile of relatively stout bones that you would know are dwarven bones. Dozens of them. You see a skull, you see hips, you see ribs. Some of them still with scraps of fabric and hunks of little bits of flesh on them.
Do they appear to be the
Dead?
remains of like something that has been nibbled on by a creature that's using this as sort of like their dining room?
Make a nature check then.
We were told about this place.
Morwen, while Guntir is looking left, you look right, and you can see like it is a little bit clearer. You don't see like a big pile of bones or anything. This tunnel goes down much more gradually. It seems to wind slowly to the left and down. Elements of the brick here, the stone, are kind of crumbled in. There are areas where the water is pooled up and then begun to run over because elements of the ceiling have collapsed. This is a tunnel where when you kind of hold your ear up, you can hear here and there little stones falling. It's a little bit less stable.
I got a 16 for the nature check.
Guntir, you walk up a little bit closer to these bones and you begin to look at them. You can see areas where the bone itself has been kind of dented or scraped. Whatever it is that killed these dwarves certainly tried or did eat them. This seems like, if maybe not a dining room, maybe a place to dump bodies. Many animals, don't. I would say, Guntir, given where you grew up, on the opposite side, but would actually kind of wander in from the gated marsh from time to time, there are jaguars, and you have heard that they stash their bodies up in the trees. Maybe something similar.
But in the sewer.
Perhaps.
Okay.
Oh.
So as a group, you guys catching up to Guntir and Morwen. On the left, a pile of bones with bits of flesh hanging off them. To the right, a longer, gentler, yet significantly less structurally sound tunnel.
Are you guys caught up yet?
I feel like we're at the T intersection.
Alright. So we can go path A or B. They both seem to suck.
Sure.
Which way are we going?
Which one is
Guntir?
it? Well, everyone ready for some fighting?
Sure. We took down a dragon.
I'm gonna go to the left and just see, like, getting to the edge, how far down it really goes.
Sure.
If it's...
Guntir, you have to you have to put your back up against the wall and skirt by. This pile goes up about 3 feet.
It's like a big pile.
It's a big pile. This is the remains of either dozens of dwarves or perhaps many dozens, just bits and pieces.
Okay.
Oh, no, okay, yeah. So you walk over. You have to skirt by. And as you do, something that does sort of catch your attention, it doesn't smell like decay, which means either these bones have been picked incredibly clean, but you can see bits of skin and flesh. These are probably pretty fresh. You don't smell rot or decay.
All right. In that case, I'm going to speak with Dead on something
The pile.
in this pile. Okay.
Make an investigation check. You do need a skull, I believe.
Oh my god, you cast on the pile, the whole pile just wakes up and goes,
Yeah.
ah!
Well, it doesn't
Kill
need to be a
us.
skull. The corpse just still needs to have a mouth and can't be undead.
Yeah, okay.
So,
It's
so if there's a mouth, I can talk to it.
okay.
Just like a
So you just need like
disembodied mouth.
this part. You don't need the top.
That is for, what was it? Investigation?
Yep.
That's 15.
15.
Yep.
You dig through, and for you guys watch as first Guntir begins to kind of sneak through, and you see suddenly the eyes like open up a little bit more, the cataracts almost shifting away, revealing a bit more blue as this idea takes Guntir, and he suddenly plunges his hands into a pile of like flesh covered bones. Guntir, it's not like the bones scatter because there's enough weight from the skin still attached to like give them enough weight to stay in the pile, but your hands just shove in. You root around for a little bit, you pull out what looks like a bit of a femur, you throw that off to the side, clatter, clatter, clatter. You reach in, you pull out a bit of a foot. You do eventually end up finding. It is most of a skull. There's an area here missing, the eye socket on the right side gone. There's like, you can see the inside of the bone, there's almost striations, coated still in dried gore. The bottom jaw is like unhinged a little bit. But you would imagine probably would work for the spell.
Okay. I guess I'm gonna pick up this poor imitation Frank and be like, "Hey, what happened to you?"
And you cast speak with the that way?
Yes.
Okay. One sec. So Worth no. Oh no. You know what? Okay. So you hold on to the skull. You guys watch as Guntir, especially, he takes it and looks at it and asks, what happened to you. For a brief moment, anybody who's forgotten and not seen Guntir do this in some time, it's like he's talking to a skull, and you're like, wow, Morwen, whatever Morwen has is contagious. But all of a sudden, that kind of unhinged part just cracks open a little bit, and you can hear through the broken elements of bone the sudden, and the skull, the little bit that is still intact, you can feel Guntir in your hand shift expectantly towards you. These sockets, the one that is fully intact, just black, but it gazes back.
I repeat my question. Ow!
There's a cat there, I would assume.
Yes.
What was your question? Sorry. What happened to you?
What happened to you? Yeah.
We ran through the streets. It chased us until we could run no more.
What chased you?
So many mouths. Let's do.
Is it somewhere here? Around here?
You get the sense that it does not know, because that would be something that would have happened after it died.
I guess you got done in pretty bad, huh?
There was no pain,
Oh, that's
only
good.
numb.
Okay. Numb, lots of mouths. What did it look like?
It looked like 7 dwarves stitched together. The jaw falls away. You can see elements of what remained of the nose just crumble. The whole skull pops and then falls apart in your hands.
Ew.
I'm gonna kind of say it again. Was it thirsty?
No, I think it was, a little dry. It was probably thirsty.
Well, here you
So
go.
I
and
guess-
just take it and put it more in the water.
Okay. You take the little elements of skull and just drop them into the sooty mud.
Drink up,
and
buddy.
it's away.
So,
Maybe he does.
I'm pretty sure there's some sort of horrible abomination roaming around.
Cool.
So, do we want to go with that, or do we want to go with the maybe we collapse the tunnel and get killed that way?
Right, roaming around the tunnels, or
Well,
isn't there a
I
manual
imagine
option?
if we go down this way, there's probably this horrible abomination or something, or at least if we survive the fall, and that way is already kind of precarious seeming, but maybe not a horrible abomination. That's just my 2 cents.
So which way are we going, Guntir?
Well, I presented the options to you.
Oh no! This one's yours. We're following your lead.
What do you want to do, Guntir?
That's
I
okay.
suppose I'm gonna go to the edge and see how far down it is now, for reals this time.
Okay. Guntir, you take a last look at this pile of bones and then progress to the edge. Morwen?
I'm gonna follow him so that if he falls, I'm just gonna grab his hair. You know?
Sure.
My single
Shoot the hair out
I'm
of
just
all
gonna,
other safe
I'm gonna
things.
already have a grip on it when he's looking over.
Okay. Are you holding the beard or the back of the
whole
hair?
one little
Back
hair.
of the hair.
No, you still have a lot of the platinum hair grown back.
Oh,
I mean,
that's true. Yeah.
You grab on to the back of the head. Gunter, you feel a brief pull,
What do you say?
but then
Ow.
you look over. Make a perception check, Gunter.
My Guntir. That's an 18.
You look down. You could hear from here water trickling slightly. And as your eyes adjust a little bit, you can see it goes down maybe like 5 feet only and then opens up into a larger space. And you can see just bits of here and there. You rolled a 20, you said?
18.
18. You can see here and there dull impressions in the wall that you would imagine are other tunnels, maybe 1 or 2 further into this room. You notice there is more water down here. There's like a little bit of standing water. Here and there you can see like bits of broken stone emerging, so it's not terribly deep probably. But you listen, you look. You can't quite see the bottom, although you realize it's not because it's terribly deep necessarily. It's because the soot has settled into the water and it's almost gray. Very hard to see across this almost foam of ash. And then you can almost swear that you hear something. But you listen and it's just overwhelmingly quiet.
All right. Well,
While we're over here, or I'm holding on to Gunter, so just gonna be like, check above too, because is it like, does the ceiling go up or is it a flat?
Gunter, you look up and you can see it rises as well. Here you can see broken elements, like 1 or 2 rungs of what at one point was a ladder. You can see based on the stone here, at some point, whatever was above, just kind of the water ran down and it's probably just rusted that ladder away. And thinking about there being no ladder in this street, it probably makes sense now why. You'd imagine people bring them to use and don't leave them because they deteriorate pretty quick here. But you can see there's like 4 rungs that are kind of broken and misplaced, and that would lead to another part of the sewer above.
yeah, I mean, if we want to go back up, but
Yeah, I was just curious. You know, maybe there's an abomination hovering above us. We never know.
all right. Well, since these 2 are useless, what do you think? Do we go down here and potentially fight this abomination, or do we go that way and potentially collapse the tunnel on ourselves?
Hold on 1 second, and then, are you stable? Like, are you falling off
I
the
mean,
edge?
in the
Are you-
general sense.
Okay, I'm gonna let go of his luscious locks. Very soft, very nice.
Yeah, actually.
So
I used conditioner back at the hotel.
I was gonna say, it's definitely Morwen still is emitting like this confusing perfume of smells. Gunter, given the amount of hair that you now have, you probably still have a vague scent as well.
slowly or quickly disappearing though on both
Yeah.
of us.
Yes.
I'm actually going to take a few steps back and look up from the pile of bones.
Okay. You take a few steps back, 5, 10, look up. You can see a similar shaft that you came down, maybe 10 feet, perfectly cylindrical, carved into the stone, and you see metal above. And a slight lip of that kind of ember that is providing the light that comes down. So this mantle cover above seems to have been shifted slightly, and there's a part that you can see up.
Gonna look at Guntir, then I'm gonna look at Heinrich. Heinrich, can you give me a lift? Let me get a peek-see.
Sure.
And I'm just gonna be like jumping pathetically.
Anything to help, and I'll go on over and I'll do the like laced finger foot.
But
Sure,
I'm gonna
you do
go
the laced
behind
finger.
Heinrich and climb up him obnoxiously.
So you kind of
Oh, I
turn your
just
back
stand
on
there like
Morwen,
this.
and you get ready, and you look back, and Morwen isn't there, and suddenly you shift forward as Morwen jumps on your back and begins to climb. Heinrich, make an athletics check, and then Morwen, make an athletics or acrobatics check, your choice.
Acrobatics.
I hope I fail. Ah, damn it! I got a 19.
I got a 28.
So Heinrich, you initially kind of stumble forward, and you're just like, and stand up straight. And Morwen climbs up onto the tops of the antlers, and suddenly this heavy weight just disappears as she gets into the actual tunnel. Morwen, you push your hands forward, you lean your back against it, and you begin to climb up using just your body. You make it to this area, and you can feel a little bit warmer, little bits of ash still falling through.
peek-see.
Okay. You put your eye as best you can up to this manhole cover. Make a perception check.
Oh god, why am I doing this? Alright. Oh! Not too shabby. Math. 22.
Okay. As you get up to the top, you smell stale, cold, old, but still the remaining smell of cooking, perhaps almost like some kind of meat. Definitely a lot of salt. It doesn't smell terrible, but it smells like probably it's been a little bit of time since whatever was cooking has cooked. You can see little bits of like a dip and then a straight avenue, a large street. And at the very end, maybe 100 feet away from where this is, and it's right on the cusp of your vision, there are rises and falls of ash here and there. You can see broken buildings, but at the very end, there is a huge structure. Clangy, kind of like metal supports that rise up almost like water towers, and there are multiple levels. You see maybe like 5 or 6 different like metal huts that are suspended on these large metal, almost like legs, for lack of a better word. If you think of like the Warner Brothers Tower, some parts of it look very similar. There are little like metal tunnels that connect each of these huts. You can see elements of what look like almost like chimneys that come out. And you would imagine that's where the smell is coming from, although it seems pretty cold now. The ash around this place, very much disturbed, although probably again, maybe a day or so ago, you can see like it's just a little bit less consistent there. You do see around the base of this structure a few lumps of ash, probably bodies.
I'm gonna shimmy on back down.
You drop.
I'll tell you everything that I saw.
Morwen relays this information.
Pretty sure our abomination would be a...
Alright, so then down it is.
I mean, I will say, I don't know what you taste for, but it does look like dinner has been served upstairs.
Guntir just
if
jump.
you're hungry.
Guntir, okay, make a dexterity saving throw.
Wait, I thought it was only 5 feet down.
It's only 5 feet down until like the area where like the water level begins, but you have no idea what's below that. It's like soot floating on top.
Oh.
No.
I've already done it.
Wait, what did you do? You
Yeah.
jumped?
Made a dexterity saving throw that's 18.
Okay. Splash! You penetrate what at first almost looks like ground, but it's just soot that has like stayed on top of this very, very still water. As you break the surface tension, it all comes down, and it is this dark water that encases you. But you bob to the surface. You're still buoyant. You feel around you little bits of metal, and you would imagine it would have been very easy to get tangled on and stuck. But you managed to come up.
Freedom of movement, that would have not mattered anyway.
It is not so much difficult terrain as it would be considered like a
Non-magical restraint.
It is a natural hazard. Well, actually, it's a man-made hazard technically, not on purpose.
So would it
but
count as a non-magical restraint?
It's not. It's not intended to restrain. And actually, I'll say, Guntir, as you kind of like are paddling in this water, thankful that you are wearing leather and not plate mail, you sort of like brush bits of the ash away, and what you can see are elements of metal supports that have been placed into stone, like twisting almost wires that come out. This at one point held a structure together, probably collapsed in at some point and slowly made its way down. But underneath there are all elements of things to be tangled upon. You'd imagine at one point this was probably about 15 feet deep, and so there's a pretty substantial amount of water beneath you. Down in the space you can see here and there broken bits of stone kind of jutting out. You see a barrel maybe 20 feet away kind of floating, and then beyond that you see a large arch, and then a very dark tunnel that seems to lead slightly down.
Okay, I'm gonna go towards the barrel first, see if there's anything good in there. And then
You guys hear Guntir just kind of doggy paddling his way down there. Are you guys doing anything?
Last one down's the rotten egg that I ate.
Wait, bones, like, they float, right? Bones float, right? I'm pretty sure bones float.
I'll
Alright.
just pick one up and chuck
I'm
it to
gonna-
show Morwen.
Okay, you reach down, you grab what looks like maybe a humerus, and you just wing it over. Splash!
I
Gunter,
laugh.
you hear a splash behind you in the darkness.
Morwen, is that you?
Nope.
You hear from up above. You look down and you can see the water rippling slightly.
I'm gonna check. Is the bone floating?
You look down, and suddenly in this displaced part of ash, rising up, and then you see the bone surface slightly.
Learned a thing today. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, I'm gonna
Here to
search
help,
through
like I
these.
said.
Wait, when we look, okay, I'm just gonna look, at the little pool Gunter's in.
Sure.
Do I see the end of water, like the tunnel that you were saying, the archway? I don't know if I can see that.
You can only see
That's
straight
also
down.
Submerged. Oh.
No, and Gunter can tell. Morwen cannot, but Gunter can tell it is about like half above water and half below. This is probably at one point like a 15-foot tall room or tunnel. So there is approximately like 8 feet of air, give or take, depending on where you're going.
Okay, so this isn't something we have to like continuously swim in. Gunter, is this anything we have to continuously swim in?
I mean, yes, unless you want to just like sink to the bottom. I don't know what. What do you
No, I just-
mean?
I don't know. I kind of want to make myself like some floaties using the bones, like little baby arm floaties.
You
It's
can
fine.
certainly try.
Do you
I'm
wanna build
I'm gonna start shopping.
Do you
for
want to
some
build a
floaties.
raft?
Oh, that's a good idea too.
A dead body raft? Azra would be pleased.
Pretty metal. You look at this pile of bones. I mean, there's certainly enough there. If you want to take the time to build a bone raft, you probably could.
Bone raft.
Want
would
to
be
take a
good.
ride on the bone raft? Sorry. I had to. That froze our connection to the internet too, right when I said it to you guys.
Good. Yeah, good.
It's
The
good.
internet
Good
was
that that
disappointed in
happened.
you.
Yeah, dude, for real. The
God
internet
damn it.
was disappointed in me.
Throttled.
Good point.
Yeah.
What does that say?
Wow.
Anyways, Morwen, would you like to build a raft out of these bones? I would help with that. We would like that.
Oh shit! Yeah, go for it.
Still
No, you'll
doggy
help.
paddling over
Oh,
the barrel.
yeah. Here's some bones. I helped.
I guess no bone raft then. Never mind.
What do you want? What do you want me to do?
Help me build it if you want it.
Okay. So annoying. All right, let's make this real quick. Come on.
Okay, so the two of you, either one of you at advantage, or each of you can make a survival check. We're going to call this.
Okay.
I think that's gonna have to be you.
I think either of us, it doesn't matter.
That's true. Let's both go for it.
Unless Shae, you would like to help with this bone raft or not.
I'm good.
Okay. Got a 13.
I got
Okay.
I got a 8.
Let's.
So, Shae,
Lucky
you watch
13
as
bone rafts.
Morwen and Shae, Morwen and Heinrich crouch down, and they begin to sort through bones and try to line them up in such a way that they could create a raft. You'd imagine this is going to be a time-consuming process. What are you doing?
Can
Are you guys desecrating bones up there?
Can I see
Gunter, it
Gunter?
just feels familiar to you
Says the guy who pulled someone back from the dead.
to ask if they were thirsty.
Yeah.
Shae, what are you doing?
Can I see Gunter from where I am?
You walk over to the edge. You can just see down. There's a single bone floating in like a slight layer of ash, and then water beneath.
Talon, that was a good one. I just saw it.
And there doesn't look like there's any sort of like platforms or walkways like around the room or
Make a perception check, because again, it's a 5-foot drop, and so you can only see what is directly beneath that.
it's a 28.
28. I mean, again, it's a 5-foot drop. You see the bone floating. Based on the way that it has distributed, you can see waves bouncing back, and so you'd imagine there's like wall and stuff, but from this vantage point, you really can't see much.
So I can walk on water and I would like to.
Okay.
Oh,
Sure.
I also can walk on water.
Surprise, I can walk on water too.
Well,
I'm doing this for you,
build me a
Morwen.
damn raft.
This is all for you.
So, Shae, do you just drop down?
Yeah.
Okay. You watch, Shae goes, no, I'm good, and just steps off the edge. Guntir, from your vantage point, as you turn and are like looking every now and then, because you are alone down here. You've been down here for like a good 5 minutes.
I'm trying to doggy paddle to the barrel.
Yeah, and it's your with your swim speed, it's gonna take you a second, but you suddenly see, you turn over your shoulder every now and then, just checking behind you after you heard that ripple, and suddenly behind you one time is just Shae standing on the water.
Scary. That would freak me out, not gonna lie.
I don't like that.
Unsettling, yet familiar.
Shae, are you going over to Guntir?
Yeah.
Very easily you catch up to him, just walking across the slight bits of ripples that he is making as he progresses. Every now and then, it's almost like you're standing on a waterbed because they go underneath you.
Right.
But you can catch up to Guntir, no problem. Morwen and Heinrich, at this point, you've laid out about half the bones that you need. You're still trying to find other ones that kind of... It's hard to find, because you really need a lot of femurs. That's the money when you're here. But it's taken some time. Shae, you reach Guntir.
How you doing, buddy?
No, not us.
Guntir, Shae asks how you're doing.
I'm fine.
Okay.
You look up. It's like there's like a soggy coat of gray ash across him. You can see the platinum beard is like floating on top of the water, but now coated and like getting kind of crusty with bits of the soot that are like accumulating in there. It's not looking like he's looking like he's like a wet dog in the park.
I bet there's something good in this barrel that I'm continuously moving
I hope it's the
Guntir, you reach
abomination.
the barrel, and you grab onto it, able to secure yourself because it is buoyant. What do you want to do with this barrel?
Is there anything good in it?
You roll it over looking for writing. You don't find any writing, but as you're rotating it, a cork comes into view.
Oh. I think I'm going to pop open the cork and see what's in the bunghole.
Yeah, there's the word I was waiting for.
Yeah.
You guys are on fire tonight. You take out the cork,
That's just what that's called.
and immediately the smell of sour wine hits you.
Uh,
A barrel of sour wine in a fucking sewer.
It's pretty on brand.
I think, yeah, I think Guntir would probably like maneuver it such that I can rotate the barrel with my mouth on the bottom to get like a swig of the wine.
Make a dexterity check.
I hate all
And
of
Guntir,
this.
you're in the water, like swimming, so make it a disadvantage.
I'll just yell down to Shae, how's your kid doing?
Dang, it went from good to not good real
Yeah,
Drowning.
fast.
disadvantage does that.
That was a 3.
So, Shae, you watch as Guntir, like, he's holding onto it like this, and so slowly he's trying to, like, pull it over, and you watch as the hole gets to his mouth, and you can see his eyes light up. As it closes in, the barrel rolls, and Guntir, whoa, underneath. Sour wine pours into your mouth, but around you is just water and soot. What are you doing?
I'm gonna, I guess, cough up and get back to the surface.
Okay, make a Constitution saving throw.
Party!
He's
Nice.
drowning.
Good thing Constitution is still good.
Yeah.
That's,
You have Dwarven Constitution too, right? So you roll at advantage, I think.
Oh, because it's poison?
Yeah.
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 Well, so very technically in D&D, alcohol would be considered a poison.
Right.
So
Yeah,
even
right.
if it hadn't been down here for approximately a year
Oh,
and
so
a half,
I can just be rolling at advantage whenever I drink?
yeah, when you're rolling for being drunk, yes, you absolutely can.
Wow!
There's a reason that dwarves drink so much. Like, it's not because, like, oh, dwarves just love beer. It's like, it's really hard to get a
He's
dwarf
even
drunk.
better at getting drunk than he was before.
Yeah, and it's like, it's a lot easier to appreciate beer when you can drink a lot of it and, like, really actually get, like, the subtle notes over time. And you don't just have to go and get, like, a really shitty, weak, like, pub ale. You can drink whatever you want and a lot of it.
Like
So,
this Sour
Just gotta
sewer
remember to
wine.
engage that other liver.
Yeah, and so as it pours into your mouth, like
It was
bits
an
of the
18, by
soot,
the way.
bits of the ash and soot like get into your mouth as well. So you're and you become acutely aware of the fact that it tastes like burnt hair. Lots of this soot probably at one point dwarven in nature. So you're drinking sour wine and dead dwarf and runoff water. It tastes like a combination. It tastes like somebody stepped on a grape in a puddle in the rain in like Detroit circa 1994. Very specific flavor. It is
Well
not
done.
good. Yeah.
Mm.
More concisely, it tastes a little bit like Mad Dog 2020. It's a foul flavor, but you don't throw up.
Great aftertaste.
Guntir comes up now, just completely coated in muddy, like ash and soot. You see bits of red, like running down his face as wine soaks into the cloak.
I'm gonna yell, I found the abomination! No, I don't. How's my raft?
How is our raft?
Heinrich, you now like look. You have enough so that it's like a 5-foot wide patch of bone. What are you gonna use to like lash it together?
Suppose I could just use one of the ropes.
Okay,
Morwen,
make
you,
it.
you got a bunch of ropes, right?
Yes.
Can I get one to just tie us all together? I know you collect ropes. It's your raft, and you can keep it.
Okay.
Cool.
I'm better at knots than you, though.
Then here, I'll hold it together, and you can tie it.
Okay.
Okay.
I do so.
Morwen, make a sleight of hand check.
23.
Okay. Heinrich, you hold it together and it takes you a second. You're like pulling it taut, and as you get it around, suddenly Morwen's hands touch the ends and there's a knot. And you look at it, and having grown up in Port Quinn around tons of boats, this is a sailor's knot, and it's quite good. Without too much trouble, you complete your raft. It takes you in total probably about like 20 minutes, and you're not real sure how great it's gonna work,
Hey.
but it's a raft.
So,
Let's test this puppy out. And I'm gonna
Sure.
grab like a dwarf hand for the paddle and
Sure.
slide that boy in the water.
You grab it's like it's the radius and the ulna still and the hand, but you grab the whole thing. So it's like, you could actually take the whole hand and like wave the arm around.
Yeah, it's like
But
a
you have
limp
that
paddle.
Yeah, you have that as a paddle. It's staying together somehow. And like the ligaments somehow still attached or whatever.
Whatever. Magic.
It's like
Yeah, it's
when
magic.
Woody's got Buzz Lightyear's
Literally,
arm
I didn't
short.
know if people would get that reference, but yes, that's exactly
I'm
what it was like.
Mrs. Nesbit!
Whoa, throwback. Okay.
So,
Oh, okay.
So this is a 5-foot drop into the water, correct?
as far as you can tell, further though,
I don't want to chuck it. I want to lower it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're sliding it in.
interesting point.
Chuck it into the-
This is roughly a 5-foot wide circular, like a cylinder drop.
Uh-huh.
You take the square raft,
Uh-huh. Diamond shaped. Kind
turn
of.
it side, and there's maybe an inch on each end that is just a little too wide.
Don't. It's all right, Morwen. Hold on 1 second. I pull out my dagger and I just start chipping away. Just
Okay.
adding more time to this. Adding more time for Guntir to soak.
I'm drying my tears with the hand.
You can see Morwen does that little bit of like almost dried coagulated blood just smears across the fur. But Guntir, Shae, you guys down? Are you guys going to continue down this sort of almost like a tunnel?
Yeah, I think after I got splashed by the bunghole wine, I'm gonna be like, well, that was not good. And then I'm
Splashed
gonna
by
continue.
it. You tried to drink it. I mean,
Yeah.
You put your mouth right on the bunghole.
sounds like an accident.
Yeah, well, I got splashed because I, it spilled out, and I was trying to just drink it.
So you guys going to continue down this tunnel?
Yeah, I'm going down. I'm going towards the arch, the big
Okay.
arch.
I'm
You-
following Guntir, but maybe 10 to 15 feet behind.
Okay.
It's gonna
You
take
follow.
a while.
Guntir, you progress 10, 20 feet. Shae, you take a couple steps. Stop. Take a couple steps, stop. It's almost frustrating how slow Guntir is going at this point. You can see he's like doggy paddling. There's like a chunk of like stone that comes up and he has to go around it, and it takes like forever for him to go. You just climb over it. But Guntir, you make it about 30 feet down. You hear the raft finally descend. And you guys gently lower this, now missing 2 corners, but fits just perfectly down.
Perfect.
And you now have Morwen, if you would like a 5 foot by 5 foot raft.
Yay!
Made of
I
5
don't
foot
use
by
it,
like
though.
4. Okay.
No, I
No,
don't.
come on.
Can you lower me gently onto my raft?
Absolutely.
So, just
I'll
by
just
the
like
armpits.
yeah, just like a kid, just like a toddler.
And you just
Yeah,
lower
my
her
feet are
Morwen.
dangling a little bit before they touch, like ah.
Yeah, and you like tiptoe, and then lower yourself down. It's tiptoe, tail, and then you lower yourself down. And you're on the raft. It takes you a second. You have to balance the raft as you put your weight on it. It does sink a little bit. Your boots get wet. Bits of ash kind of rise up through. It's unsteady. It doesn't feel very safe, but it doesn't fall apart.
Yeah.
You're like balancing on it. It's like it's not easy to stand on, but you are on it.
Why don't you take a seat? I'll be right down. Just sit down.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna sit on it.
Okay.
I'm
And
gonna
then
sit on it and stick my tail in it as a propeller, and scoot over, and also paddle on the side.
I'm
All
going
those
to
things.
tap the heels of my boots together to turn on water walking and lower myself down.
Okay. You tap them together.
No. I don't know if anything happens other than what was expected.
Tap them together, and you lower yourself down. You have to brace your knees a little bit, but no problem. You lower yourself on. Kind of that familiar waterbed sensation as Morwen's raft is creating ripples everywhere. You know, like the soot, which was an even layer of gray such that it almost didn't look like water. It's now just like mud and sinking down, and like bits of the ash are accumulating like foam around objects. But you are all now down. You can see 20 feet away, this barrel slowly sinking. And you can see beyond that, Shae maybe like 40 feet away, Shae standing on a rock just waiting, and you see the bits of Guntir paddling into the like around the stone. Guntir, as you come around the stone, you can see as the tunnel goes down a little bit, the water has begun to like flow. There is a slight flow to the water here.
Oh, good.
Maybe another 20 feet away, there's an area where at first it looks like just more broken stone, a structure kind of partially submerged. But then you realize it's actually relatively flat, and probably you could walk upon it. And you can see here and there elements of like handrail. At some point, this was probably almost like a walkway, like a maintenance path. Bits of it still kind of will be submerged here and there, but for the most part, relatively dry. And then Guntir, maybe 30 feet away, because this path goes straight, and it goes straight to the point where your eyesight does not make it out. So this is a long path that slowly descends down. You do see this vague shape on this pathway. You can see slowly the form shifts and moves, and it seems to be approaching you, or at least in your general direction. You can see one part of it kind of shift out, and then you see 3 long talons touch down on the ground. And because it is 10:18, that is where we're going to take our break. So it is 10:18. We're going to take a quick break for like 10 minutes because we're human beings and we need to. But we will be back at 10:29. Very specific. We'll see you then.
Bye.
And welcome back to Adventures in Alberon, where for once Matt wasn't able to talk into the beginning of us talking. Thank you very much for sticking with us through the break, for those of you who did. And I also wanted to say, because I forgot to say it at the top of this program, but one of the things that we're working on, and it'll be a project that will take a little while, but we now have enough space where we can actually build a little bit of a studio. And Matthew is going to be helping quite a bit with that in making that smile and making it look very much like a tavern from Alberon. One of the cool things that we're going to be able to do with that is some of the art that has been sent to us we can actually have rotating through the back. So every week there will be paintings hung up in the back in our tavern, and one week you might see some beautiful art by Sophia Bischoff. It might be some of the gorgeous watercolors that we have, and then the next week it might be these very, very cute Nod the Owl and the Fey Pig that Talon's daughter made for us. So there'll be just various things. So anything that is submitted that is from Alberon will make its way to that set eventually, which is super, super cool and very exciting. And because we're actually going to have enough space to do it, it's going to give us the chance to shift eventually into full 3-dimensional terrain, which I'm very excited about, because I have a couple. I've been building up a little bit for like when we start doing it, but now I can like actually start printing out my own tiles, and I have so much space. But that is something really cool that's going to be coming. So for everybody, and Talon and Dawes, thank you so much for the bits. That's the kind of stuff that helps us do these really cool things. So thank you very much. We can jump back into our game. So when we left off, Guntir, you had just come to the beginnings of a elevated section that rises above the muck and the ashy water that you've been doggy paddling through. Shae, you can also see it from the stone that you stand on, though you are about 15 feet away. Morwen, you stand shakily atop a raft built of bones, hastily and then modified last minute. And Heinrich, you can just walk across the water with your boots.
Mm-hmm.
For
All
whatever
of you-
difference it makes, I'm sitting.
You are sitting shakily on this raft. You feel water kind of beginning to soak into your pants.
Heinrich's just like kicking you in the back to push it forward every couple of seconds.
He's a stick just poking you along. You want to do that? You can certainly try, yeah.
I was thinking more of like taking a rope and just sort of like pulling a kid in a radio flyer wagon kind of thing.
Yeah, you can if you want, sure. So the very end of the rope you kind of take, and because of the way it's tied, Morwen, you're like going like a diamond kind of. It's not like a square raft now. He's pulling from the corner, but you drift through, leaving a little wake of clear water and ash on the sides. Guntir, in front of you, about 15 feet, getting just into a range where you can now make out individual features. You see these 3 long talons reach forward and hit the stone. They don't scrape across it. You see like a brown furred appendage attached. Oh, again, so cute.
Yeah, she's hunting.
Yeah.
Hey.
On the fur, you can see elements of like green that have grown across. And suddenly these 2 large black eyes come into distance. Look, Kitty. You can see a pig-like nose, a small mouth, and slowly this sloth makes its way, the second arm kind of slowly out before the head looks up at you, Guntir. And it's a 3-toed sloth. Morwen would know because there are some of these in Dungannon as well, a little smaller. There are sewer sloths in Alberon. It's a place that typically grows a fair amount of algae, and so it creates like a natural, almost camouflage on them. None of you would really know more than that, but you can see in bits of the algae, elements of gray ash have kind of settled down. It pauses, and just you can see the eyes just looking at you, Guntir.
Right, so I wouldn't know if they're rumored to be dangerous or anything.
You don't see it yet because you're still on your little raft.
Does it
But
seem...
as Heinrich pulls you into view, you see it, and you would know they eat plants. They're not dangerous in any way.
Does it seem like a threat to Guntir?
Guntir, you see it standing very still. Make a nature check, Guntir.
I'm gonna tug on
Nice.
the rope to get Heinrich's attention and be like,
Guntir's pretty good with animals. That's a
"Make sure
dirty
he leaves it
20.
alone."
Okay. Gunter, you look at it.
Besides
in
all
the
the
darkness.
animals that he leads to their deaths. Ah!
Yeah.
You bet.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys don't do well with pets typically, but you see this
You
sloth.
okay with plants, probably.
You left all the
They
plants
might-
that Thistle
yeah.
left you on the boat. You have no idea.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said probably.
You stare into this creature's eyes, these black eyes staring back at you, and you sense that it is trying very hard to stay still so as not to be seen. And you would imagine it thinks of you as a bigger threat than you probably would need to think of it.
Yeah. With good reason.
You can see it's like paused mid move.
I'm gonna non-threateningly make my way onto the like higher parts that are not as flooded,
Submerged.
so that
Okay.
I can
You climb
so that I can
up.
gain my footing.
Yeah, you climb up, and without too much trouble, you climb to your feet. Still pretty wet and covered in like gross, muddy ash, but you can now walk. No more than 10 feet in front of you is a sloth, still paused.
There's no way around it, right? In this space.
You could step over it. It's a sloth. It's
Oh, so it's not like a
it's like
big
toddler
sloth.
sized.
Oh, I was picturing like big
I was-
sloth.
I just pictured it being bigger than a normal sloth.
No, the
That's-
ones that grow in Dungannon, just because the tunnels are smaller, because it's a much older city, they're just smaller because that's what they need to be to live there. The ones in the north a little bit bigger. They need to generate more heat, and
Okay. Feels kind of weird that there's this sloth here. I guess I'm gonna cautiously approach it.
Okay, you walk up to it slowly. As you get to within 5 feet of it, you can see it kind of shifts like a little bit closer to the wall.
I'm gonna slowly reach an arm out.
Okay, you can see the eyes are following you. The faint bits of white around the edges, you can see it's like following you, but it's not. The head hasn't turned. It stayed as motionless as it can. As your hand reaches out, you can see ever so slightly it shifts away, but you can reach out and touch it if you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna pat it on the head.
You tap it on the head. You feel even in that instant it tenses even more. It's like matted fur. There's bits of algae growing on it because it does move so slow. But otherwise, it feels like what you would imagine a sloth to feel like.
I'm gonna,
Sloth-like.
in a soothing manner, try to assure it that I mean no harm.
Make an animal handling check.
Ooh. I might kill this thing.
Don't poke its eye.
Oh, actually, that's a 7. So, yeah. I mean, I might poke its eye.
Okay. You lean forwards, and as you go to gently pet it,
It's okay.
suddenly, the 287
Wow.
years, your lungs are not as good as they were, and all this ash and soot suddenly catches up with you, and you suddenly, just hack out a cough.
Don't
This
you-
startles. You can see in a very quick motion for the sloth, this kind of, as its head backs up, and one of the arms reaches up and it begins to slowly begin to run away. You have frightened it.
I don't blame it. It was just coughed on by
Yeah.
an old dwarf.
Move on past it.
Yeah, you just walk right by it, no problem. It's
Yeah.
slow. What are the rest of you guys doing?
Maintaining
Tugging along the
my
Morwen tugboat.
10 to 15 foot distance behind Guntir.
Okay, are you staying in the water or are you moving up onto this kind of elevated area?
As he progresses, I progress.
Okay, so you climb up, or you step up. You don't have to climb, you're not in the water. Heinrich, you tug Morwen around this rock, and you can now see Guntir past and Shae kind of in front, and then between them, this weird looking, it looks like a hairy child crawling, and like something's wrong with its legs. You watch as it hooks up these long hooked appendages, but Guntir seems not at all bothered by it. Shae, this is a weird creature for you as well. You've never seen something like this.
Is that you want to do anything with this, or should I keep pulling you?
keep pulling me, please.
Okay.
You guys progress along on the water side. So it's Heinrich walking, tugging Morwen, who's just like sitting on this raft. You guys kind of catch up to where Guntir is walking. All of you just leave the sloth behind. You progress down this tunnel, 20 feet, 30 feet. The water is kind of picking up. And so, Heinrich, there is a point where not suddenly, but slowly, Morwen's raft begins to kind of drift forward in front of you, and you have to keep kind of either stopping it, or at one point you're almost like a dog, like walking this raft. You're now pulling more than
would you like
pushing.
to get off now?
And I'm just staring at him, so I'm going backwards.
Yeah.
This
So,
is
more-
fun.
Now, it might get dangerous. It might get steeper, or there might be a drop off.
Why am I getting too heavy? This is fun.
All right.
Just don't let go.
Can't promise anything. It's up to you to get off if you'd like to be safe.
Adventure.
Okay.
Okay. You progress another 10 minutes, another 20 minutes. This is becoming quite a walk. And for Shae and Guntir, it's getting a little easier because the area that is now completely out of this water, this muck, doesn't have as many broken elements. You don't see any other sloths, so you do see like little bits of bugs and things moving here and there. You are also noticing, Guntir, more than Shae, it's beginning to get a little bit colder.
It's getting chilly.
You guys want to continue?
Is there like an embankment that goes up to higher to where they're walking? Is that getting any steeper? Like, is
A
the
little
water
bit,
getting
yeah.
lower from-
A little
okay.
bit. There's probably now like a foot gap, whereas before it was almost flush. It's now like a foot of distance between
There
them.
Yeah,
haven't
I'm gonna-
been any sorts of like other passageways or openings. No more like.
I would say,
Remains above
Guntir,
us.
you walking up, no, you don't see any coming off this embankment. Heinrich, as you're walking here and there are times where Morwen's raft kind of just shifts to the left or shifts to the right. And you realize there are subtle currents in the water.
Mhm.
You'd imagine beneath it there are probably other tunnels and channels that water can run through.
Okay. I'm gonna noticing that like there may be a point at which the water, I don't know, just gets too strong for me to hold on to her. I'm gonna just like steer her over to the side and park the raft.
Just wash me up ashore.
Yeah.
Morwen, you feel the raft is kind of against the wall, and you can just climb up if you want. You see Shae just
Alright.
walk by.
I just don't think it's a good idea.
Well, we worked so hard on it. Do you want to turn?
No, thank you. I don't think you could, do what I'm doing. Unless you want to swim while holding it.
No. All right, I'm gonna quickly deconstruct it and take my rope back.
Sure. So, Heinrich, are you climbing up onto the embankment?
Yeah.
Okay, so you climb up onto the embankment. Morwen, you get up. You guys have to like tug the raft back up onto it. Guntir and Shae, you see Heinrich and Morwen come. And Guntir, for the first time, you see they lug up, crafted of dwarven bones, your raft. It is like body of people like you, just strung together. And Morwen was like sitting on it. You can see suddenly her hands move quickly and deftly across the knot, and clatter, 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 clatter. The bones fall apart. Morwen begins like wrapping this thing up. You can see one of like a half of a skull, probably the other half of the skull that you found actually, just tumble over and fall into the water.
Oh man! Come on!
Hi. I shake the hand.
I'm the bad one. I look over at Shae. I'm like, I'm the bad one.
What do you mean? I made them useful again. And then I'm gonna wave at the bones. Goodbye.
Moving on, Guntir.
One of the fingers flies off and lands in the water.
Oh,
I
no.
keep the hand.
Okay, you can add a hand, a dwarven hand to your inventory.
Unsure what you were
Skeletal
referring to,
dwarven.
Guntir.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, you and Heinrich both very helpful today. Yeah.
You guys
Testing,
continue to walk. At this point, there's a point now where it gets to be about 2 hours. You've been walking for some time, and it's been getting steadily colder. Guntir, you're leading this group still?
I guess so.
You're the first to notice as you walk here and there, your foot skids a little bit. And at first you dismiss it as nothing more than it just being damp down here. But you realize as it's getting more and more slippery, there's elements of ice. And looking down and kind of looking at this, the ash in the water has lessened somewhat, and now it's just kind of murky. You can see there are thin bits of ice floating in the water too. The water moving a little bit quicker here, but you can actually see like there is a flow to it. Here and there, like little chunks rising up. Another 20 minutes, 30 minutes go by, and here and there you can see in like the bits of algae that is now gray and dead, frost. It is becoming, for those of you not in winter gear, uncomfortable.
Put on the ring.
I'm gonna pop that ring on.
Okay.
My warm.
You guys both
Switch back.
Pop on my winter garb.
Okay. So, Guntir, you put on this ring. You feel warm. Heinrich, you feel warm, no problem. Shae, you already feel fine. This is like a pretty normal experience for you. You guys wait for about 5 minutes as Morwen tugs on all of this winter gear. You continue to progress a little bit, but you're beginning to notice now there is a faint sound of trickling. And Shae, for you, even with this light, you're realizing as you put it behind you, there is a faint bit of daylight as well. Colors that remind you almost of like a sunset. And as you guys continue to walk, you begin to progress down a little bit of a curve, and now the ice next to you, solid. You can see water still running under it, but there's like an inch or two of ice. And as you round a little bit of a bend, you can see now daylight. You guys have walked quite a ways, and you actually see elements of snow and other bits of the outside through this gap. You hear wind going by. There is no snow. You can see just faint bits of blue transitioning to red and purples of a sunset. You don't see the sun, and so you'd imagine you're looking roughly like northeast, give or take. You see mountains in the distance.
I'm gonna take a really deep breath.
Still smell ash and sewer, and weirdly, really weirdly, something smells like hibiscus down here. And then you look and it's Morwen still. But you kind of shake it off. You take another deep breath, and there is just the faintest familiarity to wind from the north that is truly outside.
I feel much better.
I'm gonna make my way to the end and try to see where we come out.
Okay. So, Guntir, you kind of skid your way in. You have to walk very slow. And I would say, actually, Guntir, as you get to the end, go ahead and make a dexterity saving throw as you walk to the end of a sloping down icy tunnel.
Yeah, that's a 4.
Okay. You guys watch as in this beautiful sunlight, Guntir's dark silhouette walks to the edge and out of sight. Guntir, you fall about 80 feet.
Oh, shit!
As you slip, your head goes back, your feet go up, and for a brief moment you see dark blue transitioning to purple of this beautiful sky, the first couple of stars of night. And then as you continue to flip, you see the ground
Do I
approaching.
have time to do anything?
Falling 80 feet, sure, yeah, you'll have 2 actions essentially. What do you want to do?
All right, feign death.
Yeah, there's probably no easier way to do this.
And death, 2 actions.
Isn't there like feather? Don't you have feather fall or something?
No, I have just
This is the
pretend to
much
die
more
and-
aggressive version of Featherfall. You don't slow down, you just take less damage. Okay, so, Guntir, as you fall, I'm going to say make a concentration. So, just like you would when making a concentration check to maintain concentration, you need to make a similar check. It's a fairly low DC, but just to do it as you plummet. It does take a little bit of concentration.
Okay. So Constitution? Save?
Yes.
Natural 20! I'm really good at
You're
dying.
made for this kind of shit, of course.
Not his first rodeo. Or funeral, shall I
I
say.
feel like it's more just the blood rushes to Gunter's head as he's falling and he just passes out and actually feigns death.
So, okay. Let me just write this down so I don't forget the number. So, Gunter, as you go like end over end, you see the sky and then the ground, and you can see like shards of ice from this faint trickle of water that hits and has formed almost like icicles coming up, some of which are like 10 feet tall. And as you see these spikes of ice rushing towards you, you black out. But you, for all the rest of you, as Gunter falls over, a second passes before you hear faint thunder in the distance. Gunter, you cast Feign Death. As you hit and actually are a little bit impaled on elements of these spikes, some of them breaking off in your body, you actually feel, or you wouldn't feel, but elements of the leather are punctured through. You take 39 points of
It's not too bad.
bludgeoning damage, we'll call it, halved because of Feign Death,
Okay.
to
Clever
19
use of
points.
fucking spell.
Okay.
It's not the first time that he's done this.
I know,
Yeah.
flying out of the Iron Hawk, we know this.
Mm-hmm. Gunter, suddenly, and I'm going to say that the spell ends when you become impaled because your concentration certainly breaks.
Well,
Suddenly,
I don't think it's a concentration.
is it a time thing?
Yeah, I think I can just be dead for up to 8 hours.
Okay. And what ends that spell? Can you choose to end it? Probably not because you're dead.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure touch ends it, and
Okay.
since I touched myself, it just has to run its course for the next
Great.
8 hours.
So, Gunter disappears. Thunder in the distance.
Oh, it's
His
1
turn.
hour. Sorry, it's
Okay.
1 hour.
1 hour.
I'm just gonna look over the ledge and be like, God damn it.
You look over the edge, you can actually see an element of like broken, blunted ice emerging through Gunter's shoulder. You can see one of the calves turn sideways. There's another piece that skewers the calf muscle. You see little bits of blood already frozen on the icicle dripping down.
I mean,
Gunter appears.
Morwen's forever going to be traumatized about Gunter
I know.
dying and coming back, so like he's never dead in my mind. So I'm just like, guys, he didn't have Helia, right?
It's like pretty fucked up what's happening to like Morwen on an emotional level, probably. But yeah, for
Oh
sure.
my god, yes. Her
Um,
concept of death is there is none.
Because like first everybody that you knew died, and now nobody. Well, now Gunter just won't die. He just dies again and
just
again.
keeps dying and then coming
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think
you see
we're on,
Gunter
like,
just impaled,
12 right now.
something like that.
Can I look over the edge and see this safely, or is this like
Yeah.
a slope that we all need to make the safe to not fall off?
No, Gunter just walked right up to the edge of
Okay,
this like
that's what I thought.
downward
Yeah, yeah.
sloping icy tunnel. So
Sure.
he had to do
Well,
it.
as
But
he
you,
entered, so he will exit.
yeah, you like carefully make your way to the edge next to Morwen, and you look down. You can see like icicles emerging through Gunter. He's impaled by 3 of them, about like 80 feet below.
I like
You can
grimace,
see-
and then I just kind of like, ugh, again.
Guys,
There's
he's got
almost
that
like a
look in his
frozen
eyes.
waterfall that goes down. There's water running underneath, trickling along, or like along the stone, and then just bits of ice that are frozen from the initial part of whenever this place froze at some point. There are still like jagged shards of ice, and Gunter is like impaled in the midst of these.
Okay.
Is the ice going down smooth?
Relatively, yeah.
Okay, so it's not like I could.
You could try. I mean, you could use your claws and try to like use them as pythons, or maybe like pythons themselves.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Seeing how
Titans
he
and
looks,
rope.
I'm not gonna be the first one,
Shall
or
I
the
go
second
get him?
one down. Yeah, if you don't mind.
We'll
Or
make
maybe
her-
we just go meet him. I don't really know. This isn't where we meant to go.
No. No, it is not. You know,
I mean,
such
it's great
is the
to,
way, though.
It's great to be outside again. However, it seems like a step before, or a step past what we were trying to do.
It
like
certainly
we skipped
is.
a step here.
I mean, we'll just walk around the base of the mountain to the entrance we know, go back in, and then
Yeah, you know, if
Go
you
back
circle
out.
to the east, you will eventually get back to that like horse-shaped rock that you could
exactly.
use as a judgment point.
Do we know how? Is there a guesstimate of how far
We-
that is?
Shae has been past this point a couple of times. Shae, you looking out, it takes you a second to orient yourself. You know, so you are standing a little bit north of like where so Mount Trom.
Yeah.
A little bit like away from where the Zin Yi are. You would imagine make an intelligence check. It's a flat intelligence check.
This is really funny, so I just have to repeat that Dos goes, Guntir is dead. Must be Tuesday.
Yep, there you go.
That's a 14.
14.
Guntir dies on days that end in Y.
Yeah. Shae, you're not 100% sure of where you are, but you do know, and based on the conversation that you had with Nazara, who had said that there was a forest to the north, you can see this copse of frozen woods, and you would imagine that's what she meant.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of use that to orient yourself to where you are. You're vaguely familiar with the mountain range off to the east. It connects at points to the huge range of mountains that Mount Yishi is part of.
Mm.
But you're not like very familiar with this area. You have a vague idea as to where you are.
Okay. Vague idea, guesstimate how long it would take to get back to that entrance?
On foot,
Yeah.
6 hours maybe, probably less, probably like 5 hours.
Oh, not bad. I mean, we have to drag a dead body, but it's not like a few days.
And it's not like
For the
dead.
first
You know?
hour.
This isn't too bad though, because then we get to the entrance, we drop off Helia. We do whatever we have to do with the point below Guntir, and then we know where we are and head back to the place we've already been to that we decided to go back to again.
Precisely.
Okay, this isn't too bad. All right, how do we get down? Help me.
Sure. I'll take out.
The
Pike-
raft?
No,
No.
I'll take out a python and a hammer, and I'll just start looking for a spot that won't shatter, and then avalanche onto Gunter's body down below.
Okay.
Fine.
Maybe
Make a
like
survival
the rock
check.
wall on the side.
long as
instead of
it's
the
within the
floor
next
that's
hour.
It's covered in ice.
make a survival check.
Okay. Not great, but survival. We got another 13.
Another 13. You look and you can't find like sheer stone. There's ice that is kind of accumulated around this runoff point. But you take the pipe and you take the hammer and you chip some of the ice away and you work your way down. It takes you about 10 minutes, but you get to stone. You secure the first one. You'd imagine it's less important that the other ones are as secure. But you could certainly take the time to chip the ice away and secure them into stone itself if you would like.
I guess we could just start with the one, tie it off. Here's how I would like to progress down instead of doing it step by step in the moment. Unless we need to do it step by step in the moment.
Sure, you tell me.
Tie off to this part, go down, I don't know, say like 40 feet, put another one in, no, 30 feet, put another one in, mage hand up, untie, bring it back down, tie it, just kind of like leapfrog
Sure.
that.
Do me a favor.
Down.
Make me just one athletics check.
Okie dokie. Oh shit. That's an 18.
Okay. Yeah. So the first one you put into the stone, you feel pretty confident. It goes straight in. You don't see cracks emerging around it. Hand over hand, you begin to lower yourself. You repel. You like kick off, and you feel it go through your gloves. You stop it. You are not very familiar with mountain climbing, but this is something that it comes fairly naturally to you. You find these places, and using your arm to brush away snow, the thinnest sections of ice that you can penetrate into the stone, you go down, and eventually, without too much trouble, you actually have to pass Guntir. You see him on the side, the eyes open, ice just frozen across. They're like completely frozen. Bits of snot coming out, bits of spit and blood coming out and frozen down like icicles. But you pass him. In total, it takes you about, including the time it takes you to get that first python, about like 30 minutes to get down.
That's fine. As long as I can retain the rope and the last python, if possible.
You hold your hand straight up, and you can see the glyphs appear before that mage hand disperses. It moves up. You untie it. You can bring it back down, no problem.
Cool.
Right, so how the hell do I get down?
Well, I was kind of hoping that you would come along the same rope at the same time.
Oh,
And so presumably you did. So yeah,
Okay.
Morwen, you make your way down. Shae, you don't need to use it if you don't want, but you certainly can.
No.
You could also,
Okay.
for the record, Guntir got down the fastest.
Yep.
Sure did. Sure did.
Technically true.
And got us out fastest way possible that we now know from
Yeah.
the mountain.
That you know, yeah. So you make your way down. Shae, no problem. You can like use your hands to navigate down. Almost like you use them almost to keep contact with the side of the mountain, but you just slide. For those of you who watch, you can see these small marks where the fingers have brushed bits of snow away from ice itself. But Shae, you shoo. And technically, because Guntir, you are still impaled 20 feet up on these icicles,
I was gonna
Shae made it down a little faster than you did.
We all beat you.
About 40 minutes have passed. Gunter's still frozen up on the ice.
How do we pluck them?
How thick are these icicles?
The smallest one, the one that going through his calf, probably about 4 inches thick where it penetrates.
I think I got
So
this.
kind of like when Shae got impaled.
A little bit.
The one that goes through your shoulder, yeah, that's like about as bad. The other ones aren't as bad.
Oh, so like,
I think I'm gonna
Pretty
while
good.
he's still dead and he doesn't know, I'm gonna create bonfire on like the side of the icicle's base towards us to like timber it and just have his body fall down to us.
Okay.
Instead of having to climb up and unimpale him. It's just easier this way.
So prepared to catch.
Enter his body.
Yeah, you know.
Prepared to catch.
You hold your hands out and you can see along the ground there's one like orange glyph emerge and then bonfire appearing. You can see already almost immediately steam begin to pour out of the area. Water runs down and you can like shift the bonfire slowly in so it's almost like you're carving away at it. Gunter's body first, Morwen, you looking up, you see the whole body shake and slide like an inch down as it, and then falls. As it tumbles down.
Wouldn't they all melt? All the
No, you're-
spikes.
You're still
popping
20
out?
I'm
feet
doing
up.
this to the base.
He's doing it at the
Oh.
base. So you watch as
Just
Gunter
melt the
and then
spikes.
slides like an inch out, and then as it crashes down, Gunter slides out. Shae, make a strength check.
Athletics or just strength?
Strength.
Guntir's a pretty heavy boy.
17?
You run and like it takes more than just the strength. You actually have to catch Gunter's body tumbling over. You have to use your momentum and his momentum. You like run to catch him. You could easily get underneath and wait, but you time it so that you use your momentum to curl him around and very gently for you slam him into the snow.
He's
About
dead.
50 minutes has passed. Yeah, you onto the ground. You takes no additional damage.
Seeing that
Nice.
he's frosty, and you know how Morwen cares very much about his eyes, I'm gonna start like heavy breathing on his eyes to defrost them.
So this cat breath just emanates across. Your breath is
I'm
not
just
warm. It's not really warm enough to defrost it. It shifts from like that kind of almost matte ice to being like a smoother kind of shinier ice. But aside from that, it doesn't change much.
All right.
Gunter, all of a sudden, you are in a world of pain. You feel air flowing into the chest cavity. There is a hole in you. You look down, you can actually see that the leather burst out, and there are like little icicles that are melting away. You see it through this film, and as you blink, you actually feel your eyelids skid down ice before, as they pull up, it suctions out. You have these like ice contact lenses on the inside of your lids, which are raised up away from your eyes, giving you a shocked expression. You're also in a tremendous amount of pain, so you're probably pretty shocked.
Just like,
I gave him the breath of life.
All right.
And you see Morwen's, like the sharp teeth of Morwen just right in your eyes. And as you scream, it's just like a puff of warm cat breath that just goes across. Morwen, you see like the whites instantly get a little bit more pink.
Oh, we're back, guys.
All right, I'm gonna use my 5 at a time D6 healing light. But it's less like I need to protect this creature, like surge of
This
caring
creature.
from inside.
This
It's more
poor
just like
beast.
it's a little bit reluctant at this point, but it's kind of, oh my friend, oh.
You hold a hand out,
Hold
Heinrich,
on.
and you.
Well. Oh shit! Nice. They were all above 4.
Ooh,
That's
It's a lot of health.
I'm just like,
22. 22 with 5 D6s.
Heinrich, you hold a hand out, and you can see the glyphs kind of beginning to run down your arm, and then you stop, and then like the light just kind of fades. And you hold your hand out again, and the spell takes place. It's this like ray of like a torrent of these celestial glyphs that float off and strike you, Guntir. You feel your skin like mend and stitch itself back together. You actually feel one of your ribs back into place, and you feel significantly better. Still, like,
And then I'll leave
kind of
my hand outstretched to help him out.
Nice.
oh, did I hit my head or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Now get
Oh,
up.
man.
We're near Helia. Drop off.
Oh, good. Yeah,
We're actually not, but
I know my way around.
I'll pull you up.
I feel like 6 hours is close compared to most of the places we go.
Yeah. Took easier getting it. No,
Oh, hey.
we're close. Hey,
And
yeah,
we're
sure.
outside, huh?
Yeah, and Gunter, you look up, you see constellations that you haven't seen before, really, being in the north. Maybe like once or twice a night as you guys have traveled, but it is the northern sky. You can see now, like, the moon beginning to crest up. The last bits of purples and angry reds are fading into the horizon. It is essentially night.
Oh.
Given the time of year, you would know it's like around 6 o'clock.
And how tired are we because of how off cycle we've gotten?
You did a pretty decent job of correcting your cycle by partying a bunch and then getting woken up in the middle of the morning and then like having to go back to sleep. It actually ended up benefiting you.
Hey.
You guys probably have another like 4 hours to go before you start looking at being real tired.
I'm feeling
Let's get
ready to
moving.
go.
Care to get moving?
Yeah.
Please.
Trace the base of the mountain? Curve around Shae. Which way do you think's faster? This way or this way?
I would point the direction, I think.
So
now,
Shae points to the southeast.
Okay.
so
And
now that
you-
I made it here for you guys, now you're taking the lead again.
Well, now we know where
we're
we
just
are.
correcting course, that's all.
I mean,
No, Gunter, please. Go where you wish.
I think we should all go in the direction that we agree upon. Yeah, because I think that we should all think about it first.
Ah, I see.
instead
Character
of
growth.
just-
Okay. Good. This is good. I like this. I
From
like
my
this. How about-
experience, having grown up in this region, I feel we should go this way.
Great. Then
And
let's
as you
go.
have the most experience, I agree with you.
Okay.
Well, isn't that wonderful?
All right, let's do this.
Wow, team building exercises. The finger gang progresses to this top.
Oh, don't you hold your breath. It will not stick around.
I wouldn't. We've been playing this campaign for almost 2 years now. Trust me. You progress, letting the mountain guide you on your right-hand side, following it down. You walk through this kind of darkening, with the moon out, actually. What is it, the 6th? It's almost the full moon. So, I mean, with this big moon out with the stars, it is fairly clear. A few wisps of clouds pass. But there's enough light that you can see.
Nice night out.
Freezing cold, but yes, it is nice.
Yeah, I got
you
my
can look
ring
up
on,
and-
so it's nice out.
Yeah. You can see, given where you are and without any kind of real disturbance in the sky, you can even see at this point, as it would go past the moon right around like 9 o'clock at night. So as you get to the point where you're starting to feel exhausted, although you now are beginning to see way off in the distance in the night sky some of those platforms. But you would see cresting across the moon one of the planets that is part of this kind of solar system, this green planet, this faint sheen that halos around it as it crosses. You guys are progressing. What is the marching order?
Uh,
Shae,
probably
do the honors.
Shae, right?
I would go first then.
Okay, Shae leads. Who's following? Heinrich.
Same way.
I'll go behind Guntir because I know he's kind of slow and, you know.
He's clearly sleepy. He just took a nap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling vitalized.
Well, either way, you know. Just
It's good
make
to
sure
keep an eye on him.
He doesn't
That
lag
bump
too
on my
far
head
behind.
Ooh.
really woke me up a bit after I
Um,
fell asleep.
Nod. I'm gonna pull Nod back out and let her stretch her wings and fly around us and sort of do some
As you-
scouting.
You kind of reach down into like a pocket or something, and as you pull your hands away, it's almost as if you stretch and the feathers emerge from a seam in reality and nod this little owl onto your shoulder.
And just a little tussle on the head.
And you can see the eyes shut and the head kind of leans in. You hear this almost faint like a coo.
And I'll do the arm forward thing to like encourage stepping on, and then I'll,
As you think that you want Nod to step, Nod just takes that step. Yeah.
and then go on and fly around and enjoy yourself, but also keep an eye out for anything that may be aware of our presence heading towards us.
You can see and you hear this off into the sky, and then the wings spread, and you can see again across the moon, Nod soar, and you feel this vague sense of like freedom, and there is like a giddy feeling that you almost get in association with this. Shae, you see, and almost a pang of jealousy, this owl soar across the night sky. Are you closing your eyes? Are you looking, or are you just trusting the owl to relay?
I figured the relay sense of danger, alertness, and all that kind of stuff.
Make a perception check for the owl.
Is not heavy.
No.
Why didn't she ever sit on her antlers? I feel like that'd be way cuter. Just throwing that out.
That's
It's closer
true.
to pet, and if she wants to nuzzle and I want to nuzzle, it's right there.
Yeah,
Get
but
over
the
it.
Perching
antlers,
on the
Get
sailors,
over it.
man.
it's like practically a tree.
Yeah, like why even have them if you're not gonna have animals?
That's true. You should have multiple birds in there.
Yeah, and like
Little
you know,
nest.
little ornaments.
Yeah.
Like you know,
You know what?
Christmas antlers.
I think Guntir and Morwen have a new hobby, and it's
decorating antlers.
antler
Good thing I
decorating.
sleep and you can prank me while I'm sleeping.
Yeah, that is the
so
shame.
that's a 20, 21.
21. Okay. As
Got it.
Nod soars across the sky, he does. She does. Soars across the sky. There is this sense of jubilance and freedom. You don't get the sense that Nod notices anything dangerous. You get the sense of curiosity, and you direct your gaze to where you know not to be, and you see just very slowly trekking across the snow, hundreds and hundreds of feet off. You wouldn't be able to see it were it not for knowing and Nod directing your attention. Just a polar bear trekking. But aside from that,
Cute.
Nod doesn't seem to see anything especially dangerous.
Cool. I would like to point out, as someone who loves ornithology a little bit, that owls have serrated tips or edges to their feathers, so they do not make noise when they fly.
They're
They
like
also
flying
have
pillows.
really long legs.
Yes, they do.
Yes,
And
it
pants.
looks
Yeah.
like pants if you
Yes.
lift their body up.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's really just a little
Okay.
minor detail. Anyways, moving on.
They look like Danny DeVito when he has skinny jeans on.
I can honestly say I don't know what Danny DeVito looks like with skinny jeans on, but I guess I know what an owl looks like, so I guess it's like an owl.
I mean, I've
Hey,
never
sorry,
seen
Danny.
it, but I can picture it perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's-
Like frog
it's
legs,
good.
kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, as Nod soars through the night sky, what are the rest of you doing? Still walking?
Walking.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys walk until you begin to get pretty tired. And you get to a point where you have a little bit of a choice. Shae, you are beginning to notice not landmarks necessarily, but areas where, you know, here and there is an area where you can see kind of like not a mountain, but a huge kind of plateau. And you remember kind of like passing by it in various points.
Mm-hmm.
You are slowly becoming more oriented to where you are. You get to a point where you would imagine most members of your party would need to rest, yourself included.
Yep.
But you're only about an hour away. So it's kind of up to you. Do you want to keep pushing and try to get to that tunnel, or do you guys want to look for a place to rest for the night?
I would
Are you
stop
asking
and
all of
pose
us?
this question
Or-
to the group.
I want to get to. I want to get inside. I don't want to sleep out here. If it's that close
they took
by,
a little
I think
bit
we
of a
should.
nap.
I think we should push it, and then that way,
We'll
we
have
can
walls.
we can sleep more peacefully.
Anywhere with
somewhere
walls
else.
or a way to shelter ourselves and guard.
Sure. So you guys want to push on?
Knowing that it's only an
Yeah,
hour.
let's do it.
Okay. So I need everybody to make, I believe it is a Constitution saving throw.
Oh my god! I thought you were about to say initiative. God
No.
damn it!
You're fighting exhaustion, literally.
Natural 20.
Nice.
On all the important rolls today.
I'm
all
sorry.
of them.
We're rolling
Yeah,
for
you've gotten a lot of good
Constitution.
ones.
Yeah. Well, I guess plus 2, so 22.
Oh,
but
not
whatever.
bad. 18 for Morwen.
17
Okay.
for Guntir.
17 also.
Ooh.
Okay, look at the
You're a
finger
tough
gang
cookie.
killing it here. Okay, okay,
We
okay.
are hoofing it.
We ain't scared of no snow and sleep, and just keep going. It's fine.
So you begin to move. You all feel tired. There are elements of, you're beginning to get a little bit of fuzzy here and there. Some of you are like slipping a little bit, whereas you normally wouldn't. But you don't feel exhausted. You push on through another hour. Every now and then, Heinrich Nod returns to you, and then something will catch her attention. She'll take off again. You sense her like chasing after like little bits of snow that are flying, and she's just enjoying being out in the air.
Mhm.
You walk, and suddenly, all of you see something that you do recognize. It's almost like from this angle, like a weird potato with like elements dropping down, and you know that were you to view it on the other side from directly up, it would look like a horse. And you see on the mountain that you're following this large waterfall that seems to be frozen out of the side of the mountain. And you know this is the entrance that you took last to the Undercity.
Oh, thank God.
Hey,
Oh no,
we
guys,
made it.
we've been going in circles this whole time. No, let's go. Lauren's going crazy now that she's a little sleepy.
So Morwen rushes in, and I would say you guys have done it recently enough that you would remember where the entrance is. You see Morwen run, and then straight through the ice. Morwen, you emerge into the tunnel that you've been in previously. You see ahead of you a door.
I'll follow in as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, let's go get some sleep.
Should we camp out in here in the foyer? You guys
Uh,
like to just sort of
No,
set
you
up
got
here?
that key to the inn. We still got a room.
yeah,
Let's
go to the inn. You drop
You
that
remember,
off.
it wasn't. It's not on the other side of this door. There's a little more ways to go and a little bit
It's
treacherous
not
and
that
some
much
traps. and-
further once we're in.
Does anyone remember the code, if they're even on the other side?
Oh, let's just say,
How about I just tell him to let us in?
yeah, maybe it'll be the same guard and he'll recognize us, or.
Alright,
maybe...
hold on. I wrote it down. Gamble said it. Give me a sec here.
Tina doesn't remember
Make
because
it-
it was 6 months ago. But
No, I got it written down. Hold on.
So worth noting, you guys also didn't use the password when you
I told
first
him
showed up.
to. Yeah, I commanded.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
Guntir
did.
cast command and made his way in. You guys actually made a pretty good friend in Virgil. But remember again, and I would say all of you would remember that Virgil is part of the Shadow Scabs. They move material throughout Coltaram. They are very mobile. It is unlikely that Virgil is still there.
Yeah. If anyone is still there.
Well, we can
At
also
all.
say
Is
we're
Heinrich
returning,
looking through
from
his book?
business of the cold rots. Whatever.
I'm actually looking through the book, yeah. was-
While Heinrich is looking through his book, I think Guntir would just go knock on the door.
Okay. Guntir, you walk by, and you clang, 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 out to the door. You hear on the other side it reverberate through the room that you know to be this kind of like workshop area. Echo fades. You don't hear footsteps.
Can I try to open it?
Yeah. Doesn't open.
Can I try to pick it? Is there any pickable
Make an investigation check.
bits? That's 13 plus Investigation. 15.
What is your raw intelligence score?
My raw intelligence score is 14.
You follow the seams with your fingers. You don't see a lock. There is this kind of like a ring that you could maybe like grab and push, but the door doesn't budge when you push it. You look for a key or nothing. You do notice that along the edges of the door, where the door would like open, there is like a faint gap that your fingers would fit in, but not around. Aside from that, not much.
Knock harder.
I'm gonna
Do your little.
attempt.
Do your loud yellies.
Oh yeah, I guess I could do that. I'm going to attempt to knock so loud that someone has to hear it and come open the door for us.
Okay.
By using thaumaturgy to enhance it.
Okay. No problem. Yeah. So you see Guntir hit with the same intensity, but it's like somebody's beating brass drums on the other side. It's on your guy's side, and on the other side, and it just bounces around these big empty spaces. It echoes. Guntir, you stop hitting, and it still echoes. It comes out from underneath the door, it comes out from around. Slowly it fades. You hear no footsteps.
Ah, damn it.
Can you try to?
Me?
Can I take the blunt, or I guess a dagger would probably work better for this, to try and like wedge into the spot where I could fit my fingers to see if I could like try to pry it open.
Yeah, you can try. Make an athletics check.
While he's doing that, because I've been here before, how well would you say, trying my hardest, I can recall the other room, given that I do distinctly remember commenting on the statue of his mother.
Virgil's mom?
Surrounding.
I would
Commenting,
say,
putting
you know
it
what?
politely.
Make an intelligence check. There's a DC for this.
That was also
if
an
I
11.
think I know what you're trying to do. Okay.
Fucking hell yeah! All right, not
She's
natural,
dead.
dirty 20.
Dirty 20?
Yeah.
Pretty well. I mean, you close your eyes, you think about it, you can picture Virgil, the necklace dwarf, standing with like the bat thing coming out of his helmet.
Yeah.
You remember like the slightly sloping up table where it was like multiple levels of table and like various tools strewn across it. You remember it pretty well.
Okay. Dimension door just on the other side so I can unlock it.
Sure. This purple door appears. You step through. You reappear. You step in. A little different than you remember it. Mostly the same, but the statue of Virgil's mother is gone. That set of tools is gone, and that one table that Virgil was working at, immaculately cleaned. Everything else in this place kind of a mess, but he left the space very clean. You can see here and there, like, sheets draped over things. There is elements of like an old mural that's faded pretty badly on the wall. Let's see Virgil.
Cool. I'm gonna rub the Pearl of Power to regain that spell slot, because that's, hey, whatever.
Yeah.
And then turn around and unlock the door from the inside.
Okay, so as you take the pearl and begin to rub it, you feel this kind of, and as you feel the power emerge, there is this sonorous banging as Guntir begins to bang again. You just open the door. Guntir, you almost fall forward into the room.
I don't almost punch Heinrich in the nose.
Given your foot height difference, probably not.
Probably in the balls, right?
It
Well,
would
and
be
the
like-
fact that I had to open the door, so I would be like stepping away from it as well as I'm pulling it in.
Yeah, but you see beyond the familiar Shadow Scav workshop.
Ah,
Welcome to Kol Taram, fellow travelers.
Yeah, let's go find a bit.
No
I
one?
did-
Alright, okay.
I just walk by.
You walk by and towards the door that Virgil had led you through previously. As you guys begin to progress in this next layer of your journey, go ahead and make another exhaustion check. It's a Constitution saving throw.
I'm cranky.
Dirty 20.
Nice.
5.
Okay.
Wow.
17.
Okay. Heinrich, maybe it's the path of the celestial. You don't need to sleep. You do get tired, but you don't feel it yet. You still feel pretty good. Shae, you're pushing on. You're feeling tired, but you've trained as a monk. You've trained for conditions like this. You push through it. Morwen, you're a sleepy kitty. This is it's getting pretty rough, and you can add a level of exhaustion.
No.
Guntir, you also can add a level of exhaustion. For your 287-year-old form, this has been a long day. You've been impaled, so it's been a lot. You may also add a level of exhaustion. Yes, you've fallen asleep twice.
You almost drowned.
Which, for those of you who don't know, level 1 exhaustion means you're disadvantaged on ability checks. But you push on. You find your way to the rat tunnels. Who's leading this adventure?
Is Morwen now?
I mean, either Shae or I would suggest out loud. Be like, Shae, I think our friends are a little less.
I'll take it.
Do you want to take
I'm
point
fine.
and I'll take the rear?
It works.
We'll corral the kitties.
Okay. So, Shae, Morwen, Guntir, Heinrich. Shae, go ahead and make a survival check. You push through the door on the other side and into these rocky, narrow tunnels. You see elements of wood that support it, very much like a dwarven mine shaft.
That is a 16.
Okay. You guys follow Shae. Shae, you remember roughly the path that you took. Here and there, though, there are elements of this structure that do catch your eye. You see little elements where joists have been kind of dovetailed in very elegantly. And you see small hallmarks of Gamble's workmanship here and there. Old. For him, pretty primitive, but still nicer than a lot of what you see. And so it does distract you a little bit. There are areas where you have to kind of snap back to attention. Go ahead and roll for me a d6.
5.
Eventually, you make your way to a place where it opens up a little bit. This entire cavern, because it does look almost natural. You can see there is wood that's been laid out in areas, so it's been expanded. It's maybe 10 feet wide, about 20 feet long, and at the end of it, you can see what looks like it's a doorway or a portal, but it's like an aperture has shut. You can see curves of metal, and you would imagine, and you can actually see there's a big lever next to it that would kind of cause it to shift and open.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, that's what you see.
Does it look familiar?
Is this
Nope.
a room too? Sorry, is this just like in the hallway? Just
It's
kind
like
of stops, or is
the
it,
hallway
wide enough to go around?
widens. No, you would need to progress through this doorway to continue.
Well, not that, more like to get around everyone else to go up and
Oh yeah. You can just So it's again about 10 feet wide, so you can walk around people. Yeah.
Can I go and like put my hand on the door to see if it's like hot or cold or anything weird on the other side?
Yep. You put your hand on it, and it feels about what you would expect it to feel like, given that it's pretty cold. Starting to get a little bit warmer, but roughly the temperature. It's ambient temperature.
I remember there being some sort of lava trap or something. Something with lava. That's why I just, not to be weird, and just touched the door. Just making sure if we try to figure out how to open it, that's not just gonna kill us.
Well, it's clear that the lever here is what opens it, and I'm gonna go
Well,
over and
that's
pull
not-
the lever.
The door opens. Shuts.
Does the
Yeah.
lever go back up?
No.
I'm gonna put it back again.
Opens. Shuts.
You know, I don't remember this on the way up. Should we, retrace? Wasn't there like signs or something they said to point? Not literally signs, but things to pay attention to get back.
Let's just go through the door.
No,
I'm tired.
let's.
I'm curling up and trying to stay awake.
I'm gonna.
Well,
I'm going
One's like
to.
leaning into the wall a little bit.
How far away is the lever from the aperture?
It's like halfway through the room, so maybe like 10 feet away, then 10 feet to where it gets narrow to the tunnel that you guys came from. It's 20 feet long, the whole room.
Okay, so the lever's like roughly halfway.
Yeah.
Okay. I am going to pull out the gam cube and try to open with the lever and time it so that I can throw the gam cube and have
Okay.
it expand in the opened doorway.
I love that. Go ahead and make. Okay, so you sit there, you have your hand on the lever, you have the
Gonna
gam
go-
cube in one hand. Make
Lever, throw, gam!
make a sleight of hand check.
And I don't mean to be harsh, but is this a disadvantage?
No.
Oh, yes.
Oh, right, because you're exhausted. Yeah, so it would be. It's an ability check.
Ooh, alright. That's still not too bad.
That's good. Not too bad. That's good.
Gunter's got some decent sleight of hand, I think. That is 14.
Okay. You guys watch as Gunter holds onto the lever and has the gam cube. He yanks the lever down. Gam! Throws it. You see, and then on the other side, you hear it down. The aperture shuts in front of it. A little too quick.
I should have used a practice cube. I'm gonna like.
Hey Gunter, remember like 6 hours ago when you were talking about
No, I don't remember
It was
6
the
hours ago, and I'm gonna take my bag and start
the
looking
same
for things
session, lesson one
to
done.
try and do the same thing. But
Okay, what do you want to use?
let me take a look through my bag.
Yeah, go for it. While Gunter slams his bag on the ground and begins to dig through it, is anybody else doing anything?
Yeah, I'm gonna retrace our steps and start looking for the path that we used to like actually get into the city
Yeah.
before.
Okay, so
I'm
you're
actually
gonna
just leaving this scenario and
Yeah.
But
going
he needs
somewhere.
his GameCube.
Yeah, that's fine. He can get it himself.
All right.
So Heinrich and Shae, Morwen, are you going as well?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Three of you begin to walk back down the tunnel. Gunter is looking through his bag and looking for something to throw through. Gunter, do you have anything that you wish to do?
Oh man. I guess. Maybe it's time to do some drugs. Let me see. I might do some drugs.
I'm so
No, I'm
tired.
not
I
gonna
haven't
do
slept.
drugs.
I have a lot of problems. I'm going to do drugs about it. Yeah, sure.
You solve all your issues, right?
No.
My metaphorical
Oh,
gam cube is on the other side of a metaphorical door. I need to do drugs about it.
well, I was gonna sleep in there.
What are you doing, Gunter?
I'm gonna. Oh man. I guess I'm gonna just see what. I'm gonna turn around and see. Is everyone?
Do
just
I hear him
completely
like
gone
struggling?
at this point?
Is he like, Gunter, are you hemming and hawing to yourself out loud? Are you like,
Just like,
You begin to hear some
Alright.
venting.
Okay, I'm gonna like stop, stand up straight, sigh,
Wait, is this hallway stone?
turn around,
Yes.
walk all the way back,
I'm just
and see
gonna.
Gunter.
Oh.
Hold on. I'm gonna help you.
Well,
Gunter,
too late.
I'm going to
'cause-
help you. Hold on. Let me help you, Gunter.
You
Now, do
see
you need
deep
to-
bags under his eyes. He looks pretty grumpy.
Do you need to have line of sight on this cube, and do you need to touch it to make it small again?
I don't know.
Yes.
To touch it? Well, that makes this even more annoying. Can you stand by the door, Gunter, and go right through when I open it? I promise I'll open it again.
No. I'm just gonna. I'm done. I'm done with Heinrich. for
Alright,
the
no more
day.
help then.
I'm
That's
gonna-
fine. I'm gonna turn
I'm
around and
stone
walk back out
shaping-
then.
I'm stone shaping around the aperture, a little like space that I can
Sure.
like
Why
crawl
not?
through.
So, Gunter, you totter over. Heinrich's like, do you just go over by the door? And so you start walking towards the door. And Heinrich, you watch as Gunter just goes over and the whole stone just to the side. And then Gunter just walks around the door. Sure. You get to the other side. You see the gam cube fully assembled. It's broken into elements of the ceiling and the wall on the left side because it expanded and wedged into the stone. But it's right there.
I'm gonna gam.
Back into a small metal cube.
I'll put it in my pocket. Be like, all right, the way's open. And I'm gonna keep walking down the hall.
Okay, you can certainly do that. What are the rest of you doing?
He's
Heinrich,
continuing
you,
further.
I guess, yeah.
All right, Guntir. See you there, I guess. And I'll just turn back around and rejoin the other two.
Wait, where are you going?
Finding the correct path.
But I thought this was. We just went through the door.
Okay.
And now. What? There's only one way, right?
No?
No.
No.
This is a network of tunnels. Some of them natural, some of them man-made. It's called the rat tunnels for a reason. It's complex.
Gonna turn around and be like, well, fine. Or make me go through the door.
Gunter's like kind of falling asleep, but he slowly walks back towards you. As a group, are you guys going to retrace your steps and attempt to go a different direction?
Yes, trying to find the straightest path, which I remember being told that was what we needed to follow.
Yes. So, Heinrich, make a survival check at advantage.
We're lost again.
Heinrich confidently leads you.
I got a single. No, I just remember there was a better path, but I don't know what.
Sure. Yeah, so looking around, you look at the caverns, you look at the caves, you look at the walls, the ceilings. There's not a lot that's familiar to this place to you. You stand in this place and you begin to kind of think. Guntir, you know, make an intelligence check, because you know something that would be helpful to you. Or Matt should know something that would be helpful.
Is it the stone-related information? Or
I mean, there's many ways that you could do things.
is this
This is not stone cutting. This is
flat? Okay, flat intelligence.
Unless you would like to know something about the stone around you.
Not at the moment, but is it a flat intelligence or disadvantage from exhaustion?
Flat intelligence.
That is a 10.
Okay. What are you doing?
I guess I'm gonna look around. Is there anything like gambly?
You try to take in the space. It's a weird shape. It looks almost like there's a central line that's the top point, almost like a roof. And it does look man-made. You don't know whether it would be like a gamble-made thing or not. You're not seeing these little things that Shae is seeing. These are like things that Shae was taught as like beginner's woodsmanship kind of thing. Woodworking. Beginner woodworking kind of things. And it's like very simple. And Shae knows it because she was taught it. Some of these just look like kind of fancy woodwork to you. For like a mine shaft, which is what this essentially is.
Plus, I probably still have some ice in my eyeballs.
Yeah, every now and then you blink and your eyelids kind of stick for a second.
Wow.
Can
gang.
we
Any and all
navigate
of us.
back to the beginning?
Hmm?
Rather than
What?
continuing to wander in the tunnels, can we wander back to the workshop and start again?
Yeah, you can certainly try.
You
guys wanna do that? You know the way back. It will be, so what I'll say is you can certainly do it. You don't need to like roll to find your way back. It is going to be another potential exhaustion point should you take that route. You guys are getting pretty tired.
Well, then let's just go back and rest at the entrance at this point.
Why don't we just rest here? Damn.
This big, huge metal cube takes up almost the entirety. Shae, you're on the other side of the cube. You're gonna have to like crawl through a little crack in the
No, I'm
wall to
going
get
back
on the
to
other
the
side. You
workshop. I'm going back to the workshop.
can. You are not on the right side of the cube for that. So you can go back, but you still have to crawl through that little space.
I'm going to do so.
But otherwise, okay, yeah,
then
you
punch
kind of just
Guntir,
duck through and you have
and
to
then
pull
continue.
yourself through.
I'm already in the GameCube by the time you get over.
Yeah, me too.
I'm going to
Warren's
bed.
cranky.
That just
Yeah.
deserves a punch, though. That's
Oh, man.
I will stand by passively as
Hey,
Shae punches Guntir.
Guntir made a way through.
I mean,
where?
technically,
To what?
We didn't find out.
also true.
Alright.
Alright, Warren's crawling in and passing the fuck
Yeah.
out.
Guntir's
Allie,
going to bed.
Allie and Miles, your camera is very weird right now. Just so you know.
It's done that a couple times.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, I see that.
Yeah.
Let me try. Let me just.
Our
let me-
faces!
I think it's your connection. It's dropped a couple times.
Yeah,
This is the worst that it's been, but it's dropped a couple times. So
But the audio's still coming through.
Yeah.
yeah, the audio is coming through fine.
Okay.
It's just it looks like there's like a stretch
what a
of
Yeah,
like,
we're
looking at it. Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
mind if I
Video play
do
now.
a video off and on thing? That won't fuck anything up, right?
no, just bump real quick off and on. Go for it.
Off.
Alright.
There.
Ah, look at that, Miles and Allie.
Cool.
So, Shae, you slide through just in time to hear Guntir kind of giggling into the GameCube.
I'm
Morwen
gonna follow
follows.
him in and punch him.
Okay, you follow in. Make an attack roll.
I'm shutting the door.
Too late.
I'm gonna
She's
say
too
you're
fast.
probably not quick enough to to get in and shut the door. Not to mention Heinrich hasn't come in yet.
26.
So Shae, it appears you hear Shae coming, and so you run in. Right as you get in, you turn to shut the door, and there's just a fist flying at you. Go ahead and roll damage on that.
Ooh, it's a dice up. Sorry, Guntir. 13.
Oh my god.
So Guntir, straight into the mouth. You feel a tooth, and it almost lodges into your throat. You have to cough, and it kind of onto the ground.
That was my last tooth.
Choke
A
on
little
it.
bit of blood,
Plug
a
it
little
back
bit of
in.
blood coming
Plug
down.
it back in. You've lost that one a few times. It just...
Just pop it back in. You're
Comes
good.
back and yeah, pretty gross. It's weird that it actually stays.
Why would you do this to a tired old dwarf?
Why would you put the cube up when I'm on the other side?
Why wouldn't you pay attention to where I was
I'm
putting the
walking
cube?
away. Walking away. Walking away.
Okay. So
Guntir, you
exit
had a
the
small
GameCube.
breakthrough. I do want to say for a moment here, you had a small breakthrough about discussing things before you do things. But I don't know.
I'm not the
man.
one who got on the wrong side of the box.
I just can't agree
I'm
with that.
sleeping through all of this.
Oh,
That
okay,
just
so
feels like the wrong
Morwen
way of
is
looking at
curled
it.
up on the
I'm
side.
going to bed.
Do
My
that.
pajamas
That's a
are
good
on.
idea.
I'm purring. I'm
We'll all
having
feel
happy
better
dreams.
in the
Make a
morning
note of another
being
in
back at the
case of
mountain.
elder abuse. And I'm
All right. You guys rest tight. I'll go calm Shae down. And I'll turn and follow Shae.
Okay. So,
never
Guntir,
back.
Guntir, you go to sleep?
Yeah, as I'm like grumpily getting ready for bed, I'm like, I can't believe Shae to the probably already completely unconscious Morwen.
Yeah, you turn totally
It's
asleep.
like, I don't even care that she's asleep. I'm still like, I don't even know why I'm still here. She's punching me in the face. I'm trying to go to bed.
Little bits of blood like flickering out from that loose tooth. But you make yourself comfortable and you find a place, I assume near Morwen, to sleep.
Yeah, I'd probably like use her. Probably, are you curled up like a cat? Yeah, I'm probably
That's
using
usually
you
how
as
I
like a
sleep.
pillow.
Either that or...
Because there's
yeah.
literally just a chair in this room, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a chair. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm probably gonna like take my bedroll and like, you know, make a little cocoon kind of thing, and then use
Fluff me like
Morwen
a
as
pillow.
like using Morwen as a pillow. So
Okay,
kinda like,
yeah, no problem. You take the thing, you kind of pull it up, and then you, like a potato sack, up to your shoulders, and then you lean over and just kind of go to sleep using Morwen as a pillow. No problem.
In my sleep, my tail wraps around his face like a mustache.
Sure.
Two.
So, Heinrich, you follow Shae out into the tunnel.
Mhm.
What are you doing?
Just a hand on the shoulder and be like, I get it. I'm not gonna not say that I would have done the same thing. But I don't know. He was impaled earlier today.
Through his own actions.
Well, yeah, I know. And it does kind of feel like, you know, we're his keeper every once in a while, but he does move us forward at the very least.
At the very least.
All I gotta say is maybe a lighter touch. Maybe pull those punches a little bit.
Shae, you look
No,
down at your
actually-
hand. There is little dried flecks of Guntir blood on your hand.
Just
You know-
non-lethal damage next
Yeah.
time. That's all.
Point of fact,
But
Shae
I
doesn't
mean-
deal non-lethal damage.
Yeah.
Oh.
Shae is
Wow.
always lethal.
Yeah, I mean, Shae's hands, it's like you can't do a non-lethal, like, sword at the neck attack. And
She tries to like pat someone on the back and ends up just like
8
knocking
damage,
their
yeah.
arm off.
here, hold my baby. Yeah, it's not good.
Jesus.
So,
But yeah, so I don't know. That's I don't know what to do with him either. I don't at all. But we've made it this far and came out on top of one of the things that we set up to do, and he was no small part in that. To be fair, I
I'm
mean,
not
we would have been
questioning
taking
his
much more of a
value.
beating if he wasn't there.
I'm not questioning his value. Never
Right,
questioned
just
his
the
value.
decision making. Look, I don't know. I don't know how to go about it. I figured maybe letting him hold the reins for the day would have given him a second thought about just charging through, but I don't know.
you guys
I-
basically, just so you know, you basically were like, all right, you smoked a cigarette, smoke a whole carton. That's basically what
Yeah.
you did to Guntir.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it
And I
didn't work.
figured it would have been like that hurt, but like I guess when you're, I don't know, is it
he
really
found out he
so-
loves it, and now he's addicted.
Is it really such a thing that when you're that old you get stuck in your ways? I was kind of hoping, but you know what? I don't know. Maybe just some rest. Maybe cranky. I don't know. He seemed to be making even more snap judgments just now than normal.
Yes. The frailties
Alright.
of those of us who need to rest.
All right. Well, how are you doing? Do you need? I'll watch this side of the tunnel tonight if if it's needed. Otherwise, I may just. I would have gone and poked around and tried to check out while you guys are sleeping. What seemed like the best way, but you know, just gesture to the cube that's fully in the way of the tunnel.
Yes. I do think I would rather rest in the workshop so as to not completely disorient myself.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'll just kind of check in on both parties at this point.
You're gonna set up a little patrol.
Yeah, I'll just back and forth and
Yeah, it's, I
read my
mean,
book
it's like a
Book
it's like a
in.
20-minute walk for you from one to the other. But yeah, it's not
and,
too
I got
bad.
8 hours.
Yeah. So Shae, you make your way to the workshop.
Yep.
Okay. You pick your way through and back, and every now and then stopping to look at a little thing that does remind you of home. Small bits of workmanship. And I would say you naturally get to the workshop and probably look for like a higher place to sleep.
Yeah.
The way the tables are set up here, it's like a platform, a table, stairs, a platform, table, stairs, to make, like, you would imagine when this was really a workshop, almost like an assembly line. And when you get to the very top, there is like a flat stone table. You can see chips and cracks and all manner of scrapes. This was used for crafting very heavily. But amidst all of it, you can see carved into, in halfling. The only reason that you know it is because it's Gamble's name. Old. But there. And without too much trouble, with little reminders of home and family, you can find sleep without issue. Heinrich, over the course of the night, what do you want to do? You have 8 hours.
I'll kind of ask Nod if she'd rather be here in the tunnel or in the whatever size dimension she exists in when she's not present.
You feel
Sorry.
the body of this tiny creature kind of sink lower into your shoulder, and you would imagine she would probably prefer to stay with you versus in other space.
Fair. Okay. Then a little scritch on the head, and I'll go and just make sure that the other two are sleeping soundly in there, and then go back and check on Shae.
As you go back and forth, in the times where you actively think, like, is Shae okay? You can feel Nod kind of like swivel the head, and like she's watching your back as you're like looking forward. And it is this very like, you can kind of feel this pattern kind of fall into place and without too much trouble. Make a perception check.
There is another thing I'd like to.
Sure, yeah.
Perception would be. That's a 13. Again.
13? Yeah.
13.
Yeah, all day. So back and forth, and seems pretty calm for most of the night.
Okay.
What is the other thing you wanted to do?
Pull out the book. Could you please detail for me the path to the Undercity from the workshop entrance to of the rat tunnels that we entered in just now?
It's a long. It takes you a little bit because
one
you're
question.
drawing out. Celestial is a complex language, and you're like, it takes you a little bit to do
got
all
8
the symbols and
hours.
everything. But it settles and shimmers, and the ink seems to fade into the page, and a single word rises up.
Mhm.
Yes.
What is the path in detailed steps to the Undercity from where I am currently?
These small glyphs disappear and reemerge, but not as celestial. You see a line. Squiggly, and it seems to turn and twist, and there are areas where these two empty lines kind of branch off and end abruptly, but you imagine it's almost like a direct path. And as it finishes across the page, you can see the end of it already beginning to fade.
I'm gonna quickly trace it as it's fading, like on the book, not asking a question to like mark it.
Okay. Make a.
No. Sorry. Other book. I don't want to mark this one up with just like the squiggly line.
Okay, so you
Quickly
suddenly
pull out, like,
whip
as
out one of your other
appearing,
books,
I pull out the other book, and I'm just like,
and you like slide it down your arm.
I'm like
doing another
left
writing.
eye on one, right on the other, just like.
Guntir, you've taught me well. Sure. Go ahead and make a sleight of hand check. Make a sleight of hand check.
Okay. All right. That's great because it's one of my best skills that I never use. In fact, it's the highest bonus to any skill roll I have, believe it or not.
I believe it.
Makes it a 17.
Okay. You very quickly transcribe it, and there are areas where like you lose the little like paths that are not the ones that you want to take, but for the most part you get a perfect replica of the central black line and most of the details.
Cool.
You feel pretty confident that using this
With Shae.
you especially well, Shae doesn't know the under like the tunnels of the Undercity.
Not necessarily,
especially.
but like markings of gamble and whatnot too.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, you would imagine it would be hard to stumble into like a natural cavern because those signs would disappear and Shae would recognize that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you would imagine that Shae would know if you're not around stuff that gamble made.
Cool. That's it. Just 2 questions for tonight. I guess the last one I'll just burn it because I'll get them back soon.
Ask how they're doing.
Exactly, and they'll be like, thanks.
Want some water?
How are you doing with all of this world-ending stuff going on?
The glyphs shimmer and fade and disappearing like a leaf slipping beneath the waves. And as it reemerges, it's a lot. It's a lot of text. You can see it says, "There are more worlds than Alberon. Though we must always be vigilant, attention is often split. It is another day in a line of endless days." That's it.
and be like, he's busy. Seems a little preoccupied. But all right.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And so, Guntir, Morwen, and Shae, you can mark off long rests. Heinrich, you can mark off a long rest as well. For the points of exhaustion, I believe the long rest does eliminate them, so you are back to being relatively well rested when you wake. I'll say you do sleep in. You guys went to bed right around midnight. I would say, as you guys come to consciousness one at a time, Morwen first by almost half an hour, then Guntir, and then Shae last. You find yourselves awake in roughly the same space. Little, ever so slightly warmer than it was before. But aside from that, you made it through the night. You come to consciousness either in the GAM cube or in the workshop.
Or in between.
Yeah, I mean, you don't come to consciousness. You're awake the whole night, so you're just pacing. But you guys awaken on the 7th of the Claws of Winter. But because it is almost midnight,
No.
that is where we're going to end for tonight. So thank you guys very much for joining in for this long session of wandering and exploration, although you guys did find another part of the rat tunnels that you hadn't been to before. I will tell you, just because it's funny to me the way that you guys solved that problem, that aperture door, it's designed specifically to not shut on like a person or a thing. So you could literally, so the easiest way to do it is to take a piece of rope and just stick it in the doorway, because as it hangs over the aperture, it's not going to shut.
Right,
I mean,
you
you could have put a book across it. You could have it doesn't have a lot of power, but it's like an alligator jaw. It opens except in reverse. It opens very powerfully, and then when it shuts, there's almost no real force behind it. So yeah, it has been very easy to get through. But you guys,
solving of it anyway.
I do too. I like the stone shape. Yeah, it was pretty good. It was on key for like especially the exhaustion.
Yeah.
But thank you guys very much for tuning in and for following along and for joining us on this adventure. Next week, I believe we'll be back at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for session 56. But thank you guys very much, and until then, please stay safe out there. We'll see you next week.